He came back and he got a GI Bill and that allowed him to go to college. That wasn't a handout. That was something that advanced the entire country. And I want to make sure that the next generation has those same opportunities. That's why I'm asking for your vote, and that's why I'm asking for another 4 years.
Okay. I liked it. I mean, I don't like the format. I have to say, I don't like that to be. First of all, they had undecided voters from New York. Just let that sit there for a minute in your head. Undecided voters from New York. So when you get down to it, the debate was framed by uninformed people whose votes don't even matter at this point. Do you know what I'm saying? It's weird. I mean, if you're going to do a town hall, why not do it in a swing state? You know, I mean, they were already living in Ohio. Why not just bring the Candy Crowley to them? This was I got to say, a room full of people who can't make a decision and whose decision doesn't have any impact anyway, were guiding the debate. You know, I mean, if you want to spend a night of questions from somebody who simply can't make a decision, well, you know, let's watch Hamlet. To be, not to be, you know, it's very Mitt Romney. I think it would, you know, if you don't care for who you're voting for at this point, you shouldn't be asking questions. You should be freaking answering questions like, what the hell is wrong with you? Do you know what I mean? What is wrong with you? You know, all right. So we had to listen to questions from people who can't decide in a non-swing state, which is really, what a freaking, Candy Crowley can't travel? I mean, I didn't understand why we chose to do a town hall meeting in Nassau on Long Island. You know, that's, I grew up on the border of Queens and Long Island. I grew up in a place called Douglaston, okay? They used to call it the Army Barracks. And just like right down the block was the line. That's where New York City ends and Long Island begins. And Nassau County is the first county. It's the, I mean, why would we do it there? I really, you know, I couldn't figure out why we did it there. But anyway, you know, I'm glad that the both of them got to get out of Ohio for a few hours. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a nice state, but you know, they've moved in. They're living there. They need to travel. They need to get out and see more. So at least they got to see part of, you know, New York City. Well, it's not technically the city other than, you know, the Waldorf or an East Hampton estate, which is also not the city. But, you know, that room was 82. How do you find these people? That room was 82 undecided voters. That's what that was supposed to be. And I saw 2 black people. And normally you would say, why didn't you get more black voters? But in this case, I'd like to know, where the hell did they find 2 undecided black voters? Where did they find them? They just pretended they were undecided. I couldn't figure it out. I really couldn't figure it out. You know, so think about this. An undecided voter is asking Mitt Romney a question in New York. That is essentially somebody who is totally lost, asking for directions from the last person on earth who is going to give them the direction that they need to go. Do you know what I mean? It was like the blind leading the blind last night. I swear to God, it was so weird. I gotta say, you undecided people in New York, you're just lucky the cameras were there, because Mitt Romney would walk out of that room and leave with all your wallets. Okay? Holy crap. That was a weird audience, I have to say. You know, but hats off to Candy Crowley. If there's any doubt that she did a good job, just check the right-wing blogs who are just trashing on her. And, of course, it's because of the way she looks, right? That's what's so important in a debate, the way the moderator looks. Like Jim Lehrer is a real stunner, okay? Like Brit Hume you would go home with if it wasn't 4 o'clock in the morning and you weren't loaded on tequila, right? Like that would ever happen, you know. I don't know what she did wrong. Evidently, the worst thing was to point out the truth, and in the minds of the right wing, that is unforgivable. That is not the role of a moderator. Yeah, it is. The role of a moderator is to ask follow-up questions and to help somebody who's totally flailing, totally lost, remember what was actually said and done the day after a Benghazi attack occurred by extremists that belong to Al Ansar Sharia. And, you know, why didn't she ask him? You know, why? I would love to have heard the follow-up. Which group was it, Mr. Romney, that attacked, you know, was there a difference between what happened in Egypt and Indonesia, Malaysia, Yemen, Sudan, Was there a difference between that and what happened in Libya, or were two things going on at the same time in the world? Is that possible? In your head, can two things be going on in the world? Can there be worldwide protests about a video all over the world, all over the Muslim world, and people doing an act of terror without prior planning? And you know what's really strange? Here's the thing. I'm going to play you, I think I'm the first one that ever played for you, the president in the Rose Garden the next day, because it was Friday. I just got so fed up. I got so sickened by the lies about the Benghazi in the Ryan-Biden debate that we went back, because I remember him calling it an act of terror. I remember Jay Carney calling it an act of terror. I remember him telling the press corps in the press conference that he said, quote, "It is, I think, self-evident that what happened in Benghazi was a terrorist attack." Just because the freaks in the media and the fact checkers, by the way, did not fact check this. It wasn't just that he said it in the Rose Garden. It's that he said it the next day, too, when he went to Nevada. It's that the press secretary from the United States had talked to the press and said, "I think it's self-evident that what happened in Benghazi was a terrorist attack." The problem with calling it terrorism is that there is, I swear to God, there is a statutory, like law, like United States law. There is a law that defines, because all laws start with definitions of the words that you will now use, right? So the word terrorism in our law, in statutory language, means premeditated, pre-planned. This attack in Libya, according to the journalists on the ground who talked to people who were there while it was happening. It has been printed in the newspaper. It was printed again yesterday in the New York Times, that the people on the ground in Benghazi said it was the Al-Ansar Sharia people, and they said they were screaming about the video. Now, Muammar Gaddafi's been overthrown. No one knows where his arsenal went. His arsenal was picked off by different militia groups, different ones. There are many in Libya. And Al-Ansar Sharia is not Al-Qaeda. They concern themselves with local issues. They don't have a beef against the United States. They don't come here. They don't go there. They stay in Libya. And they were furious about the video. That's just the truth. And why is that so upsetting to the right wing? Well, because they made up a lie, and now they have to stick by it. Why? Because there's tape of them saying the lie. Now, the president did call it an act of terror. It was an act of terror. It terrorized people. It terrorized the Libyans, who the next day came out and supported us, had a protest against those militias. They voted out their prime minister on Sunday, and they put in somebody who is a human rights expert. That's their new prime minister. They told him, go after these militias. You got to get Gaddafi's old weapons. They're everywhere. We want these militias put down. We want them stopped. Well, I get that Mitt Romney doesn't know anything about anything. I get that Mitt Romney's a one-trick pony. Mitt Romney knows how to take your company bankrupt and make money doing it. Okay, that's what Mitt Romney knows. That is not exactly a gift to the economy, nor is it a gift to the universe, nor is it a gift to women. By the way, this whole women thing, when he said the binder, no one sticks baby in a binder. But, the binder thing that he said, the reason why it's offensive, Rush, is because it's not true. That's why it's offensive. They can't figure, why is that offensive? Because there's women in a binder. I know I used to make women send me their photos before they could come on my show. He was saying just now, really, that's sick, but okay, it's you. I don't want a president that's as sick as you, and I certainly don't want one that lies as hard as you do. Mitt Romney, first of all, at Bain Capital in his private business career, which he loves to tout, Bain Capital had no women partners, no women managers, none, zero. Okay, it's an all-boys club. It was when he was there. Number two, when he was governor, there was a group that presented him with a binder, not because he asked for a study. Okay, that just didn't happen. He just makes crap up and hopes that nobody looks into it. And by the looks of the media today, nobody does. Nobody does. And then the oil and the gas. There was one thing I really wish the president would have said, but I mean, I just can't imagine debating Mitt Romney only because he's such a world heavyweight champion, Laura. And I think that the president came up with 1,006 ways of, saying what you said is just, a lie without saying it's a lie. I mean, if there was, he called things, he said his tax plan was a sketchy deal. Which, by the way, was respectful to Mitt, because it's like telling Mitt you're too smart to fall for your own bullcrap, right? That was good, but he just said this isn't true. Little of what Governor Randi just said is true. I mean, the only words left for him to use were like fallacious, but then they would have said he was another Bill Clinton, specious. Then they would have said he was playing the race card, because they don't understand the media. They don't understand words all that well anymore. But, sketchy deal he used. It really did look like, the end of a boxing match when it was over, except that, Mitt Romney was dazed and stumbled off the stage and made a beeline for the, back room. And Obama, he was smiling, and, he looked like he had a mouthpiece in so many teeth I saw. It was like, and he hung around, he greeted everybody. But I just really wish Obama just would have put him down, But I will say this, the next one is about foreign policy, and if you thought Paul Ryan was bad, wait till you see Mitt Romney. 18 after.
Randi Rhodes.
You are 10 digits away from the ride of your life. 866-87-RANDY. This is the Randi Rhodes Show.
When it comes to managing your diabetes, Bayer's new Contour Next EZ blood glucose meter makes testing easy. You also get exceptional accuracy because it uses the next generation Contour Next test strip for close to lab test results. And all this at the lowest everyday price of all major brands. Find Bayer's new Contour Next EZ meter at your local Thrifty White Pharmacy for $9.99 this week. Upgrade today. Offer good from October 7th through October 31st. Bayer's new Contour Next EZ meter. Ease, accuracy, and savings. Now that's a powerful combination.
Reverend Al Sharpton, host of Politics Nation, weeknights at 6 Eastern on MSNBC.
I first heard it when Ronald Reagan went in, 1980. We're in the 21st century. How long are we going to wait for the trickle? I mean, we've been waiting and waiting and waiting. It never got down to us. 30 years later, we got the down, but we never got the trickle.
Lean forward. MSNBC.
Ladies, how many pounds have you gained since you turned 40? If you're like most women, probably 10 or more. But hundreds of thousands of women have discovered the secret to losing weight after 40. It's called Amberin, and it's the only product on the market today clinically proven to cause sustained weight loss for women over 40. With no special diets or exercise programs, you can try Amberin absolutely risk-free and get a 1-month supply free by calling 1-800-701-6020. The leading cause of weight gain in women over 40 is hormonal imbalance. Until you balance your hormones, losing weight can be practically impossible. Amberin balances hormones naturally, so the extra weight can fall right off. Yes, even that stubborn tummy fat. Plus, Amberin relieves other symptoms of hormonal imbalance, like hot flashes, night sweats, low libido, sleeplessness, and more. Be one of the first 50 callers right now, and they'll send you a complimentary, risk-free trial with a 30-day supply free. Free supplies are limited, so call now. 1-800-701-6020. That's 1-800-701-6020.
Congratulations on your recent newborn. Now it's time to update that old insurance policy.
Prairie Land Insurance is independent with personalized options, not one-size-fits-all answers. For your free insurance review, call 251-3009. Prairie Land Insurance.
Our best is the very least we can do.
Roads are still accident-free. We've got that construction on Monona Drive both ways, Winnequatta Cottage Grove, and then Mineral Point Road at Junction Road. That intersection is also undergoing some long-term reconstruction. Everything else looks good from the Wisconsin Bank and Trust Total Traffic Center. I'm Ed Smarin.
I present to you 3 of the fiercest subjects ever assembled in the cage of doom. First, the brain-wrenching behemoth Algebra 2, weighing in at a mind-boggling 800 pounds. Foreign languages. The multilingual international sensation capable of tossing you clear across the Atlantic. And finally, finally, biology. More ferocious than formaldehyde, she'll dissect you one chromosome at a time. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Yeah, I'll do it. Me too. I'm in. Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college. Find out which classes you need at knowhowtogo.org.
Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation for Education, and the Ad Council.
So, I'm a dog, and I'm kind of new to this family, but I've noticed a trend. My humans do this thing where they go around and get all my toys and hide them in this basket, but it's always the same basket, and it's always the same place. And then they act so surprised when I find them. But I'm like, hello, that's where you put it last time. Humans are the worst at hide and go seek.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
From Wisconsin Bank and Trust Total Traffic Center, I'm Ed Smarin.
This is Madison's Progressive Talk. Streaming online at themike921.com.
You're listening to Randi Rhodes on Premier Radio Networks.
In the last 4 years, you cut permits and licenses on federal land and federal waters in half.
Not true, Governor Romney.
So how much did you cut them by?
Not true.
By how much did you cut them by then?
Governor, we have actually produced more oil.
No. How much did you cut licenses and permits on federal land and federal waters?
Governor Romney, here's what we did. There were a whole bunch of oil companies.
I had a question, and the question was, how much did you cut them by?
You want me to answer
How much did you cut them by?
I'm happy to answer the question.
All right, and it is?
Here's what happened. You had a whole bunch of oil companies who had leases on public lands that they weren't using. So what we said was, you can't just sit on this for 10, 20, 30 years, decide when you want to drill, when you want to produce, when it's most profitable for you. These are public lands. So if you want to drill on public lands, you use it or you lose it.
Okay.
And so what we did was take away those leases, and we are now reletting them so that we can actually make a profit.
And production on government land is down.
No, it isn't.
Production on government land of oil is down 14%. And production on gas is down 9%.
It's just not true.
It's absolutely true. Look, there's no question but that the people recognize that we have not produced more oil and gas on federal lands.
I don't know what's wrong with Mitt Romney. Really, I don't. Here are the annual totals in barrels produced going back to 2003. In 2003, I'll just round it, okay? 2003, 2,073,000. 2,073,100,000. 2004, 1,900,000. 2005, 1,800,000. 2006, 1,800,000. 2007, 1,800,000. 2008, 1,800,000. 2009, 1,900,000. 2010, 2 million. 2011, 2,065,000. And those are in millions, okay? So that is the highest level in 8 years. Okay, that's what that is. That is the highest level in 8 years in 2011. Federal lands, specific. I don't know why he thinks he has like some gotcha thing here, but federal lands, 646 million barrels of oil in 2011, almost exactly the 9-year average. Production on federal land has remained steadily above the low mark of 575 million barrels in 2008, the last year of the Bush administration. What is he freaking talking about? It's just amazing. And then when he lost on that, and I don't know how many people understood it, but when he lost on that, and those numbers, were so easy to get, then he started with gas prices. Does anybody remember when Bush was president, the oil man? When Bush was president and we went to war in Iraq for oil, that gas was $4.05 a gallon on average across the country. And then we had a global recession, meaning demand for oil worldwide plummeted. That's the recession. That's the Great Recession, the global recession. And that's why oil prices came down.
When the president took office, the price of gasoline here in Nassau County was about $1.86 a gallon. Now it's $4 a gallon. Price of electricity is up.
No, that's not
true. If the president's energy policies are working, you're going to see the cost of energy come down.
Think about what the governor just said. He said, when I took office, the price of gasoline was $1.80, $1.86. Why is that? Because the economy was on the verge of collapse. Because we were about to go through the worst recession since the Great Depression. As a consequence of some of the same policies the Governor Romney is now promoting. So it's conceivable that Governor Romney could bring down gas prices, because with his policies, we might be back in that same mess.
I was glad there was a little bit of chuckling in the audience. I mean, just a little bit, because that means that, okay, they're paying attention. They get this. First of all, I really wish the president would have said, but you know what? I'm not going to criticize every damn thing he said and what he didn't say. That's just stupid, because I don't know that, I've been on stage with pressure, and, it hurts. It really, literally, physically hurts. I can't even imagine what this kind of pressure is like. I can't even get there. So I don't want to criticize. But it would have been good to say the president of the United States, or you could say the president of the United States has nothing to do with the price of oil, or you could say America is not part of OPEC. We don't set the price of oil. Mr. Romney, do you need an education in global oil markets as well? Because we don't set the price, and the price is based on OPEC's, call on supply and demand. And of course, supply was up, demand was down. We were in the middle of we had just started down a global recession. Nobody thought we were coming out of it until at least 2012. No one thought that. So, I don't know. I mean, you're going to try and get people to vote on the price of a gallon of gas, and there's nothing you can do about it. And there's nothing that the president has done that caused gas to go to $4 a gallon. I will say in California, there's a bunch of refineries that are offline. They're not refining gas. That's why it's so expensive out there. It has nothing to do with the president. We're not part of OPEC. It's supply and demand. Now, we can drill all you want. We're never going to be able to meet our own demand that way. That's why an all of the above strategy is what America needs. I am firmly committed to making what the Saudis have worthless. I don't like that place. I don't want that.
Randi Rhodes. Turn up your mind. Here. Now. This is the Randi Rhodes Show.
The voice of the common man, Ed Schultz, on the mic 92.1.
Come to Bernie's, where there's always something new to discover. This is Nevin inviting you to choose early from our best selection of the year. Fossils and minerals, peacock marble jars and vases, petrified wood bookends, and other treasures of the earth abound at Bernie's Rock Shop, 901 East Johnson Street.
Caring for our patients goes well beyond compassionate bedside manner. It starts with listening to you. You know your pet better than anyone else, and you can notice subtle warning signs that someone else may not see. Let's talk about them. Taking the time to listen helps us to provide the best care for your best friend. I'm Dr. Stephen Frame, a veterinarian at the Deer Grove Veterinary Clinic.
Providing the best care for your best friend, Deer Grove Vet Clinic.
Find out more at deergrovevet.com.
Today's music stars learned from the legends. You can go right to the source with the Roots of Country channel. Hear the icons of country music nonstop. Merle.
On the back inside of me.
Hank.
You're cheating hard.
Tammy. Willie.
I can't wait to get on the road again.
George.
He stopped loving her today.
Johnny.
I walk the line.
The technology changes, but the music is timeless. Hear Roots of Country on iHeartRadio or at iHeartRadio.com.
I'm Peter Greenberg, and this is today's Worldwide Travel Minute. If you've ever filed a complaint with a travel provider, chances are you've had to wade through paperwork or that dreaded automated phone system. But more and more companies are now paying attention to the power of social media. Even in the clutter of the internet, when there's a compelling story out there, readers are likely to share it with their followers, which makes your voice resonate exponentially. Not only that, but travel providers themselves have a significant audience. JetBlue has nearly 1.7 million followers on Twitter alone, and all of those people can see your complaint. And while most companies say they don't have the authority to respond to complaints through social media, trust me, they're now paying attention. For the most effective communication, keep your post short and to the point. Don't clog up their feed with a rant. And follow up through the normal channels, including that dreaded online form or customer service number, so you have that all-important paper trail. For more information, visit petergreenberg.com. I'm Peter Greenberg, the travel detective, and this is today's Worldwide Travel Minute.
The mills closed out their excess fall inventory. We've got the flooring, and we're selling it at unheard-of prices at Lumber Liquidator's first-ever fall flooring yard sale. Get clearance flooring from just 19 cents a square foot. Laminates from only 29 cents a square foot. Pre-finished hardwood from just $1.39 a square foot. Plus special extended financing. If you liked our famous April sale, you're going to love our first-ever fall flooring yard sale. Contractors welcome. Sale starts tomorrow. Visit lumberliquidators.com for your local store.
And now Geico presents 30 Seconds with Maxwell the Pig.
Hey everyone, I'm Maxwell, and my life is kind of awesome because whenever Geico wants to talk about their new mobile app, they're like, hey Maxwell, you feel like coming to the studio and talking about how the app lets you manage your policy, you know, and get roadside help and even customize it with your favorite Geico character? And I'm like, maybe. Are there going to be snacks?
Everything you love about Geico, now mobile. Download the new Geico app today.
My son Casey was a bright, fearless 20-year-old with a boundless future ahead of him. But in the blink of an eye, he was gone. While out riding his skateboard, Casey fell. He was not wearing a helmet. Our whole family wishes he was. It could have saved his life. I'm Captain Kevin Raffelli of the San Mateo Police Department. Whether you're on campus or back home on break, strap on a helmet every time you jump on a bike or skateboard. Think of my son Casey and use your head. Put a helmet on. It could save your life.
A message from the Consumer Product Safety Commission.
Friends of the Mic are a special group of advertisers committed to supporting the Mic 92.1. Bernie's Rock Shop has been connecting you with the elements since 1963. Located at the corner of East Johnson and Patterson, they have multi-gemstone jewelry, pendants, earrings, and much more. To find more details and a complete list of our advertisers, go to themic921.com and enter keyword sponsors.
Your voice heard. Call 866-87-RANDY. Now, back to Randy Rhodes.
You know, the innerspring mattress was invented in the 1800s, and it really hasn't changed much, but, you know, it was designed as a one-size-fits-all solution, and, you know, it hasn't changed much since then. But Sleep Number has changed the way the world sleeps because they have innovated the way that we sleep with a collection of the most amazing mattresses dedicated to individualizing your comfort. It is the exclusive dual air technology inside that allows you to adjust to the exact comfort level that your body needs. And of course, each side is adjustable, so it's the perfect bed for couples. Now, you're only going to find a Sleep Number bed at a Sleep Number store. Don't even look for them at an ordinary mattress store because you won't find them. But in Sleep Number stores, queen mattresses start at just $6.99. And right now is the Sleep Number Innovation Event. And you can save up to $600 on their most innovative bed sets. This event will end soon, so find your Sleep Number store. There are 400 Sleep Number stores nationwide. You can find yours by calling the 800 number, 999-8565. The number again is 1-800-999-8565, and say that you heard it here on the Randy Rhodes Show. You know, that 999 has been replaced with my 5-point plan. It is the stupidest thing. I have a 5-point plan. I have a 5-point plan.
He said that I said we should take Detroit bankrupt.
Oh.
We have fewer people working today than we had when the president took office. If the unemployment rate was 7.
Can I just say that's not true? Okay,
0.8% when he took office. It's 7.8% now. But if you calculated that unemployment rate, taking back the people who dropped out of the workforce, it would be 10.7%.
No.
We have not made the progress we need to make to put people back to work. That's why I put out a 5-point plan that gets America 12 million new jobs in 4 years and rising take-home pay.
Yeah, it's magic. Mitt Romney has a 5-point plan, everybody, that nobody's ever thought of before. He's such a genius. A 5-point plan. He has no 5-point plan. He has a 1-point plan, and his 1-point plan is to lower taxes on the rich and stick everybody else with the bill. And then, you know, Obama was really good. He goes, you don't have a 5-point plan. You have a 1-point plan.
What Governor Romney said just isn't true.
It isn't.
He wanted to take them into bankruptcy.
Oh, I'm skipping something here. Wait. Okay, so he gives his 5-point plan, and then he talks about he wanted to let Detroit go bankrupt, and that's exactly what happened. Can I just clear this little lie up? Mitt Romney wanted Detroit to go bankrupt because he didn't want Detroit to be able to access any government funding, and Detroit would have gone bankrupt and been taken apart piece by piece. The reason why is because we had a global financial meltdown. There was no credit. Remember, they called it a credit crisis. There was no money being loaned. Therefore, Detroit could not borrow any money, and it was considered a bad credit risk by Wall Streeters, by banks, so that there was no money that was available for them to do a managed bankruptcy. Obama put $80 million into Chrysler and GM and negotiated with the unions to take less. That's how GM and Chrysler was saved. Romney didn't want any government money going to them, even though Romney knew they couldn't borrow any money from any bank at all. Okay, so just keep that in mind, because Romney is, if anybody understands bankruptcy, it's Romney. He's really good at causing it. So this was just a blatant lie.
He said that I said we should take Detroit bankrupt. And that's right. My plan was to have the company go through bankruptcy like 7-Eleven did at Macy's and at Continental Airlines and come out stronger. And I know he keeps saying, you wanted to take Detroit bankrupt. Well, the president took Detroit bankrupt. You took General Motors bankrupt. You took Chrysler bankrupt. So when you say that I wanted to take the auto industry bankrupt, you actually did. And I think it's important to know that was a process that was necessary to get those companies back on their feet so they could start hiring more people. That was precisely what I recommended and ultimately what happened.
Okay, so you understand the difference, right? There was no money, private money, to be borrowed. The banks weren't lending. The banks were crushed, okay? This was Bush's, final gift to the universe. Timed beautifully. September of his last year in office, all this happens. Detroit cannot borrow a nickel from a private lender. They turn to the government. Will you help us do a managed bankruptcy? We need $80 million. The Obama administration said yes.
What Governor Romney said just isn't true. He wanted to take them into bankruptcy without providing them any way to stay open. And we would have lost 1 million jobs. And don't take my word for it. Take the executives at GM and Chrysler, some of whom are Republicans, may even support Governor Romney. But they'll tell you his prescription wasn't going to work. And Governor Romney says he's got a 5-point plan. Governor Romney doesn't have a 5-point plan. He has a 1-point plan. And that plan is to make sure that folks at the top play by a different set of rules. That's been his philosophy in the private sector. That's been his philosophy as governor. That's been his philosophy as a presidential candidate. You can make a lot of money and pay lower tax rates than somebody who makes a lot less. You can ship jobs overseas and get tax breaks for it. You can invest in a company, bankrupt it, lay off the workers, strip away their pensions, and you still make money.
Yes.
That's exactly the philosophy that we've seen in place for the last decade. That's what's been squeezing middle-class families. And we have fought back for 4 years to get out of that mess. The last thing we need to do is to go back to the very same policies that got us there.
It truly is a 1-point plan. Different rules for different classes of people. Top 1%, they get, no regulation on them. They get to do whatever they want. You could take people bankrupt. You can take their pension funds. You can walk away, stuff it in your pocket, leave them with an IOU. That is Mitt Romney. It is what Mitt Romney does. He loves that we're loaded up with debt because this is exactly the kind of company that Mitt Romney comes in and liquidates and makes money doing it. And his partners, his people, the people that back him, that's $100 million donors. Don't you think they want something for that? So, look, the idea that, Obama followed Mitt Romney on the bankruptcy, or he's got a 5, that is crap. And by the way, the reason why there are less people in the workforce than there were at the beginning of the Obama administration is because we have a baby boomer generation that is retiring. God, he loves to distort things. He loves to take what is and turn it into what it isn't. All right. JC in Long Beach, California.
Hey, Randy, how are you?
How are you?
I'm doing fabulous, especially after last night. That was fabulous.
You liked it?
Oh, yes. Obama did not disappoint. And what I was telling your screener is that Mitt Romney looked like his head was going to explode. He was so upset. It looked like he could not control himself. And if he could have jumped over and attacked Obama, I believe he would have.
Yeah,
but it would look presidential.
He's really rude, Mitt Romney. He truly is. I mean, I remember him in the Republican debates, and he used to yell at the moderator. I remember he would go, Anderson, and touching Rick Perry, and I want more time. It's my turn. Stepping up to the front, when it wasn't his turn, and
he wanted to dictate how things were going to go. Okay, you're going first, and I get the last word, and it's like, no. I wish Candy Carl would have been a little more aggressive. She did.
Me too.
Great. But I wish she would have just told him no or shut up, okay? Because what you're saying doesn't make sense. You spend most of your 2 minutes with pleasantries, and then you don't answer the question.
Yeah.
And he's just a spoiled rich boy who's used to getting his way. And I would not be surprised if after the election, and if they lose, and which I hope they do, that there will be a demand for a recount, because it couldn't possibly be true.
It's my turn.
And I'm going to call you on it, too. If it happens, I'm going to call you, Randy. I'm going to say, remember I said that.
All right. So she liked it. All right. Chester in Southern California.
Hey, Randy, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Good.
Awesome. I wanted to call in. Basically, I sat and I watched that debate last night, and Obama played Romney totally. And I just thought that when Romney kept saying that Obama hasn't created any jobs, and then all of a sudden, at the very end, he says, government doesn't create jobs. Government doesn't create jobs. I just got really confused. I didn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's why you don't know what he's talking about. It's not your fault, okay? Truly not your fault. I mean, the man is a world heavyweight champion liar. He just lied his way through this debate. I just make stuff up. We're not drilling more than we drilled under the Bush administration. We're not producing more than we did before, with the oil man president. That's a lie. That he didn't want to limit contraception for women. He was for the Blunt Amendment. The Blunt Amendment said exactly that. It said that your employer could decide whether or not it was going to provide contraception in its insurance plan based on its own moral beliefs. That's ridiculous. It's a business insurance. It's not a church. It's a business.
Right.
I mean, look, he just lied about so much, I can't even tell you. He did say the Arizona immigration law was a model for the nation. This guy, Kobach, who wrote that law, which Obama pointed out, he does advise the Romney campaign on immigration. Exactly. I mean, it was so many lies. It was so hard. I don't know how Obama stays as calm, cool, and collected as he does. I don't know how he's as polite as he is, but that's the mark of a statesman, And I know that, I want blood because I'm so sick of having to debunk him, It's such a long haul. It really is. And it keeps you from talking about important things. The Benghazi moment. What a stupid man he is. Truly. What a dumb man. He thought he got, aha. And it turned out to be, uh-oh. Just moronic. And that's a classic. That one will go down in the annals of history. Walter in Virginia.
Hey, I love the debate. I thought Obama did an awesome job. And you're right, Randy. Romney is a 100% first-class liar.
He is a first-class liar. I mean, the idea that he's pro-woman in any way on anything, including Lilly Ledbetter, which when they did ask the campaign whether they would have supported Lilly Ledbetter, he said, "I'll get back to you."
We'll get back to you.
I'll get back to you. That is what the campaign said, and Romney's never talked about it, ever. But this bullcrap that he produced last night, oh, well, I was wondering why there weren't any women. Bain Capital, no female partners in Bain Capital at all. He had no women partners as CEO of Bain for the 80s and the 90s, the whole time he was there. And then you go, and when I was governor, I was like, well, where are these women? I mean, they must be qualified. This is such a made-up story. There was a group, and I just want people to know who the group was. They were called, you can look them up, like Massachusetts, Mass Gap. It was a bipartisan group of women in Massachusetts, and they formed this group called Mass Gap to address the problem of very few women in senior leadership positions in state government. There were 40 different organizations that joined with them and were involved in the Massachusetts Women's Political Caucus, bipartisan. They became the lead sponsor of MassGap. Okay, a bipartisan group of women. Just infuriated that there were not enough women serving in high positions. That's who brought him a binder of resumes. That's who delivered to Romney resumes of women. He picked 14 women. 14 women, and he put them in departments and agencies that he didn't care about. Specifically ones that he wasn't going to do anything with. But no women got put on the budget, in the budget agency or business development agency. None of those went to women. And in fact, a UMass Boston study found, and I looked this up today, the percentage of senior level appointed positions held by women under Mitt Romney actually declined throughout the Romney administration. 30% were women prior to his taking office. In July of 2004, 29%. And at the end of his term, November 2006, 27% of his staff were women. When Deval Patrick became the governor of Massachusetts, the number of women in state government in important, agencies and heading up departments and agencies totally increased. So that was a lie, right? Just that he lied about. The whole story about the binders and he asked for resume. Bullcrap. The number of women declined. There were 30% when he started, 27% when he finished. It's not a massive issue, but he lies. He just lies about stupid things. Now, I will admit you had to work to find out those numbers. And I don't expect anybody on TV to do that. 48 after.
Randy Rhodes.
Truth to power never sounded so good. This is the Randy Rhodes Show.
What if you could discover and reveal your family's history from hundreds of years ago? With Ancestry.com, you can trace your ancestors' journey to America. View the actual ship manifest. Find out how much money they had in their pocket when they arrived and what city they had chosen to start their American dream. By visiting tryancestry.com, you'll have 14 days to find all this and more for free. Ancestry.com is the world's largest online family history resource with over 10 billion historical documents online. From past census records to birth, marriage, death certificates, even military and immigration documents. It's limitless on what you can find. Visit tryancestry.com today and get 14 days free. That's right, a full 2 weeks free to make your own discoveries. Start your family tree today and you'll receive hints that will have you off on your own journey. Visit tryancestry.com for 14 days free. Tryancestry.com. That's TRY Ancestry.com.
With Election Day right around the corner, everybody's making a big deal about how much this or that guy's raising, and who's allowed to raise what for who.
Corporations are people, Mike.
And super PACs, and unlimited spending.
Increasing power on the part of moneyed interests.
That got us thinking, who's raising money for the United States of you?
It is a shame! A shame!
What if you could have your own super PAC?
I think it's wrong, and we've got to change it.
Well, we think you should, and we'd like to get you started with $50,000. How does that sound, Senator?
That's just a bad idea.
Of course it's a bad idea. We'll get your super PAC started by padding your pocket with $1,000. All you have to do is listen for the cue to text and win. Hear the keyword, text it to 36500, and we'll text you back to let you know if you won. And that puts you in the running for the big money, your own $50,000 super PAC. Of money for you. You approve this message, don't you?
And I approve this message. And I approve this message.
Play the Progressive Payout. Get more now at themike921.com.
Now you can use your phone to call a cab. Call 242-2000 or visit unioncab.com/order on your smartphone to set up a ride online. No extra charges, no waiting on hold, no applications to download. Ordering online with your phone or your computer is easy and made possible by the worker owners of Union Cab. Union Cab is a worker-owned cooperative providing premium taxi and courier services to the greater Madison community.
We need a Union Cab. Call 242-2000.
Do you love Italian and Mediterranean food? At Oliva, Chef MItt is eager to share his love for interesting Italian and Mediterranean food with you. Lunch or dinner, It's Oliva at Old Sauk and High Point Roads, a formal love of casual dining.
Friends of the Mic are a special group of advertisers committed to supporting the Mic 92.1. Dr. Richard Kohlberg and his staff at Beltline Animal Hospital can help your pet with all aspects of general practice, especially laser surgery and orthopedics. They're located at 800 East Broadway, Monona. To find more details and a complete list of our advertisers, go to themic921.com and enter keyword sponsors.
Madison's Progressive Talk, the Mic 92.1.
Randi Rhodes, 24/7, online and on demand. Get access to live streaming video, show podcasts, and 60 days of Randi archives. Visit RandiRhodes.com today and join Randi Rhodes 24/7 for just $6.95 a month. Now, back to Randi.
Governor Romney, pay equity for women.
Thank you, and important topic, and one which I learned a great deal about, particularly as I was serving as governor of my state, because I had the chance to pull together a cabinet, and all the applicants seemed to be men. And I went to my staff and I said, how come all the people for these jobs are all men? They said, well, these are the people that have the qualifications. And I said, well, gosh, can't we find some women that are also qualified? And so we took a concerted effort to go out and find women who had backgrounds that could be qualified to become members of our cabinet. I went to a number of women's groups and said, can you help us find folks? And they brought us whole binders full of women.
A whole binder's full of women. That's an interesting binder. But no, it wasn't that way at all. And this was written up in the Boston Phoenix, and thank you to David Bernstein, who covered this and then recovered it yesterday after he heard what Mitt Romney said last night. He had written an article saying, this is not a true story. I've written about this before in various contexts. Tonight, I've checked with several people directly involved in the Mass Gap effort who confirm that this history that I've presented is correct and that Romney's claim tonight that he asked for such a study is false. And he tells, how a bipartisan group of women in Massachusetts formed Mass Gap to address the problem of few women in senior leadership positions in state government. There were more than 40 organizations involved with the Massachusetts Women's Political Caucus, also bipartisan, as the lead sponsor. They did the research. They put together a binder full of women qualified for all different cabinet positions, agency heads, and authorities and commissions, and presented this binder to Romney when he was elected, not because he looked around and says, what am I going to do? And this is just crap.
Catherine, I just want to point out that when Governor Romney's campaign was asked about the Lilly Ledbetter bill, whether he supported it, he said, I'll get back to you. And that's not the kind of advocacy that women need in any economy. Now, there's some other issues that have a bearing on how women succeed in the workplace. For example, their health care.
Yeah.
Now, a major difference in this campaign is that Governor Romney feels comfortable having politicians in Washington decide the health care choices that women are making. I think that's a mistake. In my health care bill, I said insurance companies need to provide contraceptive coverage to everybody who's insured, because this is not just a health issue, it's an economic issue for women.
Yes, it is.
It makes a difference. This is money out of that family's pocket.
It's also a pregnancy.
Governor Romney not only opposed it, he suggested that, in fact, employers should be able to make the decision as to whether or not a woman gets contraception through her insurance coverage. That's not the kind of advocacy that women need. When Governor Romney says that we should eliminate funding for Planned Parenthood, there are millions of women all across the country who rely on Planned Parenthood for not just contraceptive care, they rely on it for mammograms, for cervical cancer screenings. That's a pocketbook issue for women and families all across the country. And it makes a difference in terms of how well and effectively women are able to work. When we talk about child care and the credits that we're providing, that makes a difference in terms of whether they can go out there and earn a living for their family. These are not just women's issues. These are family issues. These are economic issues. And one of the things that makes us grow as an economy is when everybody participates and women are getting the same fair deal as men are. And I've got two daughters, and I want to make sure that they have the same opportunities that anybody's sons have. And that's part of what I'm fighting for as President of the United States.
Okay, so the president is obviously a very, good advocate for women. Mitt Romney realizes this, and he decides that he's going to say, I believe in birth control, and I didn't support the Blunt Amendment, which is the amendment that says that your employer can decide on moral grounds whether or not he, even though you're paying, either partially or more than part, like 3/4 of the premiums, your employer can decide that morally he doesn't believe in birth control, so therefore he's not going to allow it in the insurance plan that the company purchases. That's the Blunt Amendment. Romney is for the Blunt Amendment, but last night, lo and behold, he says, I'm not for the Blunt Amendment. I didn't support that. Audio when we come back. Does he or doesn't he?
This is the Randy Rhoads Show on the Premier Radio Networks.
Right now, we're looking for 25 callers that would like to start making money from home. It's no gimmick. We're looking for listeners that are serious about supplementing their current income or want to work full-time from home. Together, Dub and PumpMyBusiness.com offer a revolutionary work-from-home model. Call us today and speak with a real pump consultant that is working from home and making money. Call 1-800-390-3431. The proprietary pump model brings the business to you. No cold calling or knocking on doors. Dub is a simple, lucrative, and proven financial model that's already working for people just like you. Listen to this.
Thanks to Dub, I've been able to work from home, be my own boss, and create a full-time income that just keeps getting bigger every month. It's a dream come true.
Hurry, we're looking for the first 25 callers to start making money from home. You'll speak to a PumpMyBusiness.com consultant and be on your way to financial freedom. Call now, 1-800-390-3431. That's 1-800-390-3431. Or visit PumpMyBusiness.com.
Her voice was like no other.
Sweet dreams.
Her life and career were short,
Crazy.
but her music lives on decades later.
Crazy for feeling so lonely.
Patsy Cline Radio, a station dedicated to country music's first female icon.
Where I'm walking after midnight.
Hear Patsy Cline Radio on iHeartRadio or at iHeartRadio.com.
At 4:15 p.m. at an office in Michigan, Angie Hicks is not at her desk. She's giving blood at the company blood drive.
At the same time, in the same office, Kevin Meehan is not at his desk. He's at the doctor. Kevin has cancer and needs another round of chemo.
Kevin will need blood to fight his cancer.
Angie's blood will help him win,
When you give blood to the American Red Cross, you change a life.
starting with your own.
Call 1-800-GIVE-LIFE or visit givelife.org to schedule your appointment to give blood.
Broadcasting daily from the 5-9 studio, Madison's home for progressive talk. The Mic 92.1 WXXM, Sun Prairie, Madison.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. We're finding out more details this afternoon about an alleged plot to blow up the Federal Reserve here in New York. Police and the FBI have one man under arrest after having made him the target of their sting operation. ABC's Aaron Katursky is in Manhattan with the details.
Prosecutors say the would-be terrorist tried to strike New York's financial district on behalf of al-Qaeda, but the FBI and the NYPD were onto him the whole time. Qazi Mohammed Nafis was arrested after he tried to detonate what he thought was a 1,000-pound bomb at the New York Federal Reserve Bank. The device was inoperable, provided by law enforcement. Court records say Nafis wanted to destroy America, and he quoted Osama bin Laden, but there's no suggestion he was part of an organized terror group. Rather, what authorities call a lone wolf, intent on conducting a terror attack on U.S. soil. Aaron Katursky, ABC News, New York.
The meningitis outbreak is spreading. Centers for Disease Control has new numbers on those affected by those contaminated steroids mixed at a Massachusetts pharmacy.
The latest patients died in Tennessee, Florida, and Virginia. The Centers for Disease Control now reporting 19 people dead from fungal meningitis, all tied to contaminated back pain steroid injections. The government asking doctors to tell patients if they receive the medication that came from the New England Compounding Center.
ABC's Andy Field. A day after their contentious debate, President Obama and Republican Mitt Romney hit the road, continuing to make their case to voters in swing states like Iowa and Virginia.
He's pretty much running on fumes. And the American people want some real answers and a real agenda. And that's why Paul Ryan and I are going to become the next president and vice president of the United States.
We're not going to go back to what we were doing before. We're moving forward, and that's why I'm running for a second term as president of the United States.
The family of former Senator George McGovern says the 90-year-old is no longer responsive in hospice care. His daughter Ann says he is nearing the end and appears restful and peaceful. Markets Dow down 1, NASDAQ up 1. You're listening to ABC News.
The Home Depot has a new lower price on Owens Corning EcoTouch R30 15-inch insulation. Now just $11.87 a roll. It's softer and a lot easier to handle. And the new lower price? Well, that's a lot easier on your wallet. For a better insulation job, start with better insulation. Get your hands on Owens Corning EcoTouch, now only $11.87 a roll. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. U.S. only. See store for details.
Forward, so does the rest of the economy. CSX trains are the most cost-efficient way to move goods to market. CSX, how tomorrow moves.
An airline in trouble and bankrupt is, believe it or not, hiring.
American Airlines, which has seen better days, says it's recruiting. It plans to hire 1,500 flight attendants to replace some of the 2,300 who have taken a $40,000 buyout offer to leave the company. Also today, American says it lost $238 million in the third quarter, mainly because of costs related to bankruptcy.
ABC's Alex Stone. 21,000 electricity customers are without power in the Denver area and around northern Colorado following a powerful windstorm. Xcel Energy says they hope to have everyone back online later this afternoon, even though sustained winds of up to 40 miles an hour and gusts of up to 60 are still possible across the area. Rapper and TV star Flavor Flav was jailed in Las Vegas early today. ABC's Jason Nathanson explains why.
The rapper, famous for calling 911 a joke, had the cops called on him by his own fiancée. According to police in Vegas, she says he got in a fight with her and threatened to attack her teen son with a knife. No one was hurt, but Flav was booked on assault with a deadly weapon and domestic violence charges. He's due in court Thursday. Jason Nathanson, ABC News.
Man who used to own a McDonald's restaurant in North Dakota is $10,000 richer after selling a 10-year-old container of McJordan barbecue sauce to a buyer in Chicago. It was used on McJordan burgers, which were sold for a limited time in honor of Michael Jordan back in the 90s. This is ABC News.
Mike Rowe here at a Ford dealer with a little Q&A for Fiona. According to the signs, Ford is having some sort of big tire event. How would you describe the event?
It's big.
The savings one might enjoy at the event.
They're big.
What about the selection?
Big.
Get a $60 mail-in rebate on Ford Select tires. Use the Ford Service credit card for an extra $60.
So I think we can agree then that Ford's tire event is good-sized.
No, Michael. It's big.
Subject to credit approval. Rebate by check. Offer cannot be combined. See participating Ford dealer for rebate and other offer details through 11/30/12.
I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Now, your local headlines from the group. Now, your local headlines from the Group Health Cooperative News Center.
I'm Sean Berlin. A 20-year-old Fitchburg man faces a number of charges, including drunk driving, for driving the wrong way down the Beltline early this morning. Kendrick Golden Jr. sideswiped a semi while going westbound in the eastbound lanes just past the Whitney Way exit around 4 a.m. No one was hurt, but news anchor Robin Colbert was almost hit and actually called 911 after checking to make sure that the semi-driver was okay. A forensic examiner's report says attorneys hired by Republican lawmakers to assist with redistricting process withheld 34 emails to groups suing them, despite court orders. The report highlights that lawyers with Michael Best and Frederick did not provide subpoenaed documents, even after the judges charged them some $17,000 for filing frivolous motions to try to block the release of other records. From the Prairie Athletic Club Weather Center, we'll have rain into the evening, a low 44. From the Group Health Cooperative Better Together News Center, I'm Chandra Lynn.
2.1 and the Mike921.com.
Mary had a little man.
The fault, dear Brutus.
Liftoff. The clock has started.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
I understand how this economy works.
I like being able to fire people. Is the Randy Rhoads Show. Turn up your mind.
I don't believe that bureaucrats in Washington should tell someone whether they can use contraceptives or not. And I don't believe employers should tell someone whether they could have contraceptive care or not. Every woman in America should have access to contraceptives. And the president's statement of my policy is completely and totally wrong.
Governor,
let me come back.
This is so funny. Watching him he looks like a goldfish out of the bowl. You know what I mean? Just slapping it around on the, please, somebody give me some air. The president's kicking my ass. Somebody call it. Candy, help me, Candy. No can do, Sally. You know what I mean? It was just like amazing. It was amazing. So he says right here he doesn't support the Blunt Amendment, which does allow for your employer to decide based on moral grounds whether or not the insurance company must include contraception, although, it does include Viagra. Isn't that interesting?
I don't believe that bureaucrats in Washington should tell someone whether they can use contraceptives or not. And I don't believe employers should tell someone whether they could have contraceptive care or not. Every woman in America should have access to contraceptives. And the president's statement of my policy is completely and totally wrong.
Governor,
let me come back.
Okay, so here is Governor Romney on February 29th, 2012, on a right-wing radio talk show.
Listen, I got to ask you here about the Washington Post has got a blog out here saying that Jim Heath, a reporter for a TV station in Ohio, just tweeted a remarkable piece of news. Mitt Romney told him he does not support the Blunt Amendment, which would empower employers and insurers to deny health coverage they find morally objectionable. Is what happened here? Did you really say?
I didn't understand his question. Of course I support the Blunt Amendment. I thought he was talking about some state law that prevented people from getting contraception. So I was simply misunderstood the question, and of course I support the Blunt Amendment.
I don't know what to say. Of course I support the Blunt Amendment that allows for employers on moral grounds to deny women contraception. Of course I do, Howie. And then last night he stands on the stage about, that's a lie. I do not support the amendment that would allow. Oh, I thought it was a state law. Oh, no, it's a federal law. Oh, well, if it's federal, yeah, then I support it. I thought sure, leave it to the states. I don't know what to do with him. Oh my God, it's so bizarre. He's so douchey. He's so smarmy. He's so disingenuous. He's such a freaking liar. I cannot believe that. I mean, just listen to these. It's just so insane. It's so insane.
I don't believe that bureaucrats in Washington should tell someone whether they can use contraceptives or not. And I don't believe employers should tell someone whether they could have contraceptive care or not. Every woman in America should have access to contraceptives. And the president's statement of my policy is completely and totally wrong.
Listen, I got to ask you here about the Washington Post has got a blog out here saying that Jim Heath, a reporter for a TV station in Ohio, just tweeted a remarkable piece of news. Mitt Romney told him he does not support the Blunt Amendment, which would empower employers and insurers to deny health coverage they find morally objectionable. Is what happened here? Did you really say?
I didn't understand his question. Of course I support the Blunt Amendment.
Oh, God!
I thought he was talking about some state law that prevented people from getting contraception. So
no, it's a federal law.
I was simply misunderstood the question, and of course I support the Blunt Amendment.
Oh, my God. It takes your breath away. Truly, it does. It's oh, God. Jeff in La Crescenta, California.
Yeah, hi, Randy.
You were named after the Crescent Roll?
Indeed.
La Crescenta.
Little Crescent City that we sit.
La Placenta.
Yeah.
That must be a place in Virginia.
Uh-huh. You know, every time Mitt Romney opens his mouth, it's a complete surprise to his Republican base.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like, what?
I know.
Now you're not going to support taxes for the rich? Now
I know. They must have whiplash. I feel they need health care.
Well, Randy, my favorite moment of the night last night came up pretty early on, and it was when Obama stood up to Romney the bully. And Romney came at Obama with his typical, do you know what this is? Do you know what this is? Repeating his question like 2 or 3 times, as if that's somehow going to make him look more forceful. And Obama just casually stood up, looked him right in the eye, and gave him the answer. And it was something about how much land has been opened up.
Oh, federal drilling.
For federal drilling.
Yeah.
And Obama said, I'll tell you. He said, well, do you know? And Obama said, I'll tell you right now. And then Obama gave this beautiful, eloquent 30-second answer.
Yeah, where he said, these oil companies are taking our leases on federal land and sitting on them.
Exactly.
Use it or lose it. And that's the policy.
Yeah,
By the way, the drilling on the federal lands from 2004 to 8 fell in 4 of the Bush 5 years, a net decrease of 16.8%. When Obama came in, 2009 to 11, this was the last year we have numbers for, there was a net increase of 10.6%. I mean, even the premise was a lie. But yes, he gave a very astute, business-like answer.
Well, and the beauty was, after Romney did that, he realized, oh, crap, this guy is now taking up my time that I should be using to sell my candidacy. And now, instead, I've given Obama free time to go ahead and sell his candidacy. It was fantastic. It was like he realized, this isn't working right for me.
Well, what I saw him do was pivot. I saw him go from oil production is down, gas production is down, electricity prices are higher, which, by the way, is untrue. Of course, gas is through the roof, and oil is through the roof under Obama. We did have a brief moratorium because we had something called the BP oil spill. Okay? Yeah. So, I mean, a ridiculous conversation that was. But then he pivots and he goes, well, what about gas prices, huh? What about that?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, like we're part of OPEC, number one. Number two, like we didn't have a global recession where demand was down, so of course the price per barrel fell.
Exactly.
I mean, what can't they figure out? Why can't they figure this out for themselves?
But every time Romney came at Obama with any of that bully style, Obama stood right up, looked him in the eye, and just negated his attacks in the moment. It was fantastic.
It was fantastic. I remember one time when Obama actually turned around to make eye contact with him and stared at him.
Yeah, and then the coup de grace was at the very end when Romney made the stupid comments about Libya, and Obama just stared him down and said
please proceed.
Yeah, he just nailed him.
Yeah, he did nail him. And by the way, okay, I'll just play that for you. I'm sure this is like the moment that will go down in the annals of history. Why everybody has this faux outrage about Libya, I don't know, but apparently talk radio has done it again and decided that a terrorist attack on 9/11 while George Bush was president was Bill Clinton's fault. 4 airplanes making U-turns in the sky for hours, couple hours, was Bill Clinton's fault. But the consulate, not the embassy, consulate in Benghazi, Libya, gets attacked by people using weapons from the old Gaddafi regime, militias like crazy in Libya, the Al-Ansar Sharia group, which concerns itself with local issues, were outraged, according to people on the ground. This was the news reporting. I'm sure this was the intelligence, too. They formed a mob, about 120 people, some armed, some not armed. They stormed the embassy. This went on for 4 hours, and we lost 4 people. And it seems to have been spontaneous. It seems to have been something that was going on. Well, the protests about this movie were clearly going on around the Muslim world, all over the globe. These protests were going on. Everybody knows that. And Mitt Romney decided to, launch this into a political thing. The talk media, decided that they would go down with Romney and this sinking, stupid politicizing of a terror attack. And Obama, handed Romney his head.
So as soon as we found out that the Benghazi consulate was being overrun, I was on the phone with my national security team, and I gave them 3 instructions. Number 1, beef up our security and procedures not just in Libya, but in every embassy and consulate in the region. Number two, investigate exactly what happened, regardless of where the facts lead us, to make sure that folks are held accountable and it doesn't happen again. And number three, we are going to find out who did this and we're going to hunt them down. Because one of the things that I've said throughout my presidency is when folks mess with Americans, we go after them. Now, Governor Romney had a very different response. While we were still dealing with our diplomats being threatened, Governor Romney put out a press release.
I love this. I love the juxtaposition of, I'm the commander-in-chief, I'm the president of the United States, this is what I was doing that day, and Romney put out a press release.
Trying to make political points.
Yes.
And that's not how a commander-in-chief operates. You don't turn national security into a political issue. Certainly not right when it's happening.
Really?
And people, not everybody agrees with some of the decisions I've made. But when it comes to our national security, I mean what I say. I said I'd end the war in Libya, in Iraq, and I did. I said that we'd go after Al-Qaeda and bin Laden. We have. I said we'd transition out of Afghanistan and start making sure that Afghans are responsible for their own security. That's what I'm doing. And when it comes to this issue, when I say that we are going to find out exactly what happened, everybody will be held accountable, and I am ultimately responsible for what's taking place there because these are my folks, and I'm the one who has to greet those coffins when they come home. You know that I mean what I say.
I do know that he means what he says, and Mitt Romney cannot say that. But the real explosive part came right after this. Okay, but I love this part, and this part's getting overlooked. Here's the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, saying, this is what I was doing. And you decided to play politics and issue a press release. And then Candy Crowley asks about Secretary of State Hillary Clinton taking responsibility. And Obama says, I love her. She's a hard worker. She does a great job. I'm responsible. I'm the president. And Romney then challenges him and says, but you wouldn't call it a terror attack. And he goes, the next day, where were you? Well, of course, Romney, what's not being reported by the media, is what Romney said the next day. You might be surprised to know that, of course, I've been playing the clips of Obama in the Rose Garden saying terror attack, but also the day after that, in Nevada, he called it an act of terror and said no act of terror will deter us. But Romney also gave a statement to the press, and he did not call this terrorism. No, he didn't. 18 after.
Randy Rhodes.
Cutting through the bullshit. This is the Randy Rhodes Show.
When your workday is done, but you're still chained to your office to finish important projects, you are missing out on valuable personal time with friends and family or both. And I'm here to tell you there's a better way to balance your work and personal lives. Visit Go to My PC, because Go to My PC will connect you to your Office Mac or PC, and it gives you the freedom to work from anywhere, even on the go from your iPad, your iPhone. There's a free Go to My PC app for that. With Go to My PC by Citrix, you can access any program, save, edit, send any file from wherever you are, whenever you need to. It is the most convenient, reliable, easiest thing to use, and I am in love with it. I want you to try Go to My PC today. And so there's a special 45-day free trial just for my listeners. Visit gotomypc.com, click on the Try It Free button, and enter the promo code Rhodes. Then download the free app to your iPad or your iPhone or both. That's gotomypc.com, click on Try It Free, and type in my promo code Rhodes.
Do you have dark circles or puffy eyes? If you have dark circles under your eyes, bags, or puffiness, we're looking for you. Because right now, we're sending free jars of a fast-acting eye cream to listeners of this station. You heard right. Every listener who calls now will learn how to get a free jar of Lumitone, the cream that fades dark circles from view in seconds. You only pay shipping and handling. We only have a limited supply of free jars, so don't wait. For details, just call 1-800-210-3461. Lumitone makes dark circles less visible in seconds. Watch your dark circles fade from view like magic. And Lumitone is great for puffiness, bags, and fine lines by the eyes. This free giveaway is for listeners of this station, but it won't last. Call us now for details on this Lumitone free offer. Just call 1-800-210-3461. That's 1-800-210-3461. Call 1-800-210-3461.
Good afternoon. Your Beltline ride, 15 minutes either direction. Mineral Point Road down to the interstate back to Mineral Point Road. Construction zones haven't gotten busy yet. Outbound University, outbound East Wash, outbound Monona Drive. We're doing fine there. Highway 14 to and from Oregon looking good as well. From the Wisconsin Bank and Trust Total Traffic Center, I'm Dick Albert.
At the American Lung Association, we're fighting for a day when we can all breathe easier. We're fighting for clear skies over every city and healthy lungs throughout the country. We're fighting to keep harmful secondhand smoke out of our public spaces and workplaces. And fighting to free millions of Americans from the addictive grip of tobacco and the devastating effects of lung disease. We're fighting for a day when kids no longer battle airborne poisons in their own homes or the fear of an asthma attack. The American Lung Association isn't just fighting for air, we're fighting for all the things that make it worth breathing, and we can use your help. Join us in the fight. Visit fightingforair.org and read about just a few of the many ways the American Lung Association is fighting to protect the air we breathe, both indoors and out. See what you can do at fightingforair.org.
Paralyzed Veterans of America, National Service Officers.
We've got an entire generation of men and women who have seen war. They're going to need voices.
Paralyzed Veterans of America represents them.
Changing lives, building futures. That's Paralyzed Veterans of America. To learn more, visit pva.org. A public service message from Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Friends of the Mic are a special group of advertisers committed to supporting the Mic 92.1. Chocolate Shop Ice Cream is family run and owned. They make 110 flavors of super premium ice cream locally. Live, laugh, escape with Chocolate Shop Ice Cream. To find more details and a complete list of our advertisers, go to themic921.com and enter keyword sponsors.
Tour Prairie Athletic Club and receive a gift card to the area's hottest restaurant, Buck and Honey's.
If we don't talk about it, who will? You're listening to Randi on Premier Radio Networks.
Your Secretary of State, as I'm sure you know, has said that she takes full responsibility for the attack on the diplomatic mission in Benghazi. Does the buck stop with your Secretary of State as far as what went on here?
No. Secretary Clinton has done an extraordinary job, but she works for me. I'm the president, and I'm always responsible. And that's why nobody's more interested in finding out exactly what happened than I did. The day after the attack, Governor, I stood in the Rose Garden and I told the American people and the world that we were going to find out exactly what happened, that this was an act of terror, and I also said that we're going to hunt down those who committed this crime. And then a few days later, I was there greeting the caskets coming into Andrews Air Force Base and grieving with the families. And the suggestion that anybody in my team, whether the Secretary of State, our UN ambassador, anybody on my team would play politics or mislead when we've lost 4 of our own, Governor, is offensive.
Oh, I love that.
That's not what we do. That's not what I do as president. That's not what I do as commander-in-chief.
Governor, if you want to reply quickly to this, please.
I certainly do. I think it's interesting. The president just said something which is that on the day after the attack, he went in the Rose Garden and said that this was an act of terror.
That's what I said.
You said in the Rose Garden, the day after the attack, it was an act of terror. It was not a spontaneous demonstration. Is that what you're saying?
Please proceed, Governor.
I want to make sure we get that for the record, because it took the president 14 days before he called the attack in Benghazi an act of terror.
Get the transcript.
He did, in fact, sir. So let me call it an act of terror.
Can you say that a little louder, Candy?
He did call it an act of terror.
Yes. He did.
As Americans, let us never, ever forget that our freedom is only sustained because there are people who are willing to fight for it, to stand up for it, and in some cases, lay down their lives for it. Our country is only as strong as the character of our people and the service of those, both civilian and military, who represent us around the globe. No acts of terror will ever shake the resolve of this great nation, alter that character, or eclipse the light of the values that we stand for. Today we mourn for more Americans who represent the very best of the United States of America. We will not waver in our commitment to see that justice is done for this terrible act, and make no mistake, justice will be done. But we also know that the lives these Americans led stand in stark contrast to those of their attackers. These 4 Americans stood up for freedom and human dignity. They should give every American great pride in the country that they served, and the hope that our flag represents to people around the globe who also yearn to live in freedom and with dignity.
That bastard. I don't get it. And so that was September 12th in the Rose Garden. And of course, the media will only read no acts of terror will shake our resolve. He was talking about 9/11. No, he wasn't. He was talking about Ambassador Chris Stevens, Glenn Dougherty, and the 2 others who at that point could not be named because their next of kin hadn't even been notified. Okay, that's how quickly the president was out saying this was an act of terror. It will not stand. It will not shake our resolve. We will not retreat. We will bring these bastards to justice. An act of terror has just occurred on the United States consulate in Benghazi. That is what the president said. And then the next day, the September 13th, that was the 12th, September 13th, he was in Nevada.
And we want to send a message all around the world. Anybody who would do us harm, no act of terror will dim the light of the values that we proudly shine on the rest of the world, and no act of violence will shake the resolve of the United States of America.
I think he was clear. I do. I think it was very crystal clear what he was talking about on September 13th. And then when you had Jay Carney at the White House, now this is another big lie, and that's because very few people watch these press conferences, which just turn off the Fox News. Just do. I mean, the universe that's really, really here will astound and amaze. It's pretty good out here. But in Fox world, everything sucks. Everything just blows. But Jay Carney told the press corps at his press briefing on September 20th, that was a week later, it is, I think, self-evident that what happened in Benghazi was a terrorist attack. Okay? Here's Mitt Romney on September 12th.
We mourn their loss and join together in prayer that the Spirit of the Almighty might comfort the families of those who have been so brutally slain.
4
diplomats lost their life, including the U.S. Ambassador, J. Christopher Stevens, in the attack on our embassy at Benghazi, Libya. And of course, with these words, I extend my condolences to the grieving loved ones who have left behind as a result of these who have lost their lives in the service of our nation.
He never calls it a terrorist attack, the Romney. This man is such a degenerate, really, a moral degenerate. I know he's rich. He's a moral degenerate. There is no question. We're supposed to come together when these things happen, not issue press releases.
Randi Rhodes. Turn up your mind here now. This is the Randi Rhodes Show.
Start your day on the mic. 92.1.
Does your best friend have bad breath? Bad breath is not just a nuisance, it's a sign of an unhealthy mouth caused by bacteria. Dental hygiene is an important part of your pet's health and shouldn't be taken for granted. Fortunately, many dental problems can be managed with at-home care and by bringing your pet to Beltline Animal Hospital for regular dental checkups and teeth cleanings. Call us at 222-1515. First-time patients get $10 off. Visit BeltlineAnimalHospital.com today.
With Election Day right around the corner, everybody's making a big deal about how much this or that guy's raising and who's allowed to raise what for who.
Corporations are people, Mike.
And super PACs and unlimited spending.
Increasing power on the part of moneyed interests.
That got us thinking, who's raising money for the United States of you?
It is a shame! A shame!
What if you could have your own super PAC?
I think it's wrong, and we've got to change it.
Well, we think you should, and we'd like to get you started with $50,000. How does that sound, Senator?
That's just a bad idea.
Of course it's a bad idea. We'll get your super PAC started by padding your pocket with $1,000. All you have to do is listen for the cue to text and win. Hear the keyword, text it to 36500, and we'll text you back to let you know if you've won. And that puts you in the running for the big money, your own $50,000 super PAC. Of money. For you. You approve this message, don't you?
And I approve this message.
And I approve this message.
Play the Progressive Payout. Get more now at themike921.com.
During the Civil War, it was called Soldier's Heart. After World War II, they called it gross stress reaction. It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's not a wound that you can see, though it can have an even more significant impact. Post-traumatic stress disorder can prevent warriors from living a normal life, hurt their relationships, and affect their ability to hold a steady job. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with post-traumatic stress disorder and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out what you can do to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
This is the Media Matters Minute. I'm Tori Brown. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton gave an interview to CNN about the attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, indicating that she's responsible for State Department personnel. The right-wing media quickly called foul.
Hillary Clinton is fallen on her sword for the administration, saying the buck stops with me regarding security in Benghazi.
Yeah, well, she jumps on the grenade the day before the debate, and I think this is, frankly, ludicrous.
Obama, Hillary, every president, every candidate says that. I'm going to take full responsibility. Buck stops with me. Except now the buck always stops with Hillary when the Democrat Party gets in trouble.
But while conservative media figures claim that President Obama was dodging responsibility for the attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya, Secretary Clinton was actually pointing out that the State Department, not the White House, is responsible for diplomatic security. For more on the media coverage of the attack on the U.S. consulate in Libya and other stories, please visit MediaMatters.org.
Mom, Dad, I'm in 8th grade now. Those years of peer pressure are way behind me. Right now, alcohol is the last thing on my mind. So please, don't have a real conversation with me about drinking. Like you said, I'm too young, right?
Real kids are curious about alcohol. 40% try it by the 8th grade. Start a real conversation at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. Talk early, talk often, get others involved. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
From beautiful blooms to vegetables and everything in between. Join me, Melinda Myers, and listen to Melinda's Garden Moments to find out how you can become an expert gardener right in your own backyard.
Melinda's Garden Moments, weekday mornings at 6:30 on the Mike 92.1 and the Mike921.com.
This 877-2634.
Yeah, no, there are times in which the problems at hand are beyond our control, and this is one of those times. The European economic crisis is placing a great strain on the American economy and is threatening U.S. financial markets. And that's why you should call ITM Trading right now at 1-888-OWN-GOLD, 1-888-OWN-GOLD, and get their free exclusive report called Weathering the European Economic Storm. Just call 1-888-OWN-GOLD, 1-888-OWN-GOLD, and they will send you your free exclusive report, Weathering the European Economic Storm. It is an exclusive report, and it will give you the real story behind what's threatening the collapse of the euro, how the failing economies of Greece and Spain, Ireland and Portugal and others will, likely send shockwaves throughout Europe and Asia and even the United States, and find out why German bailouts and French intervention may not be enough to avoid a European financial meltdown that could be a disaster for U.S. markets. Call 1-888-OWN-GOLD, 1-888-OWN-GOLD for your free exclusive report, Weathering the European economic storm. So I just got to tell you, I mean, there was absolutely nothing truthful that Romney had to say last night. Then they moved on to, I just love that I am the president. I loved it. I was hoping he would say that last night. We left hoping he would say that last night, and he did, and that the buck stops with him, and that he did say in the Rose Garden it was an act of terror. He left out that he said it the next day, that his spokesman, Jay Carney, who speaks for the president, also said it. The problem with calling it terrorism, as defined by U.S. law in statute, is that you have to determine that there was, well, I'll read you Title 22 of the U.S. Code. You have to determine that there is, quote, premeditated, politically motivated violence perpetrated against non-combatant targets by subnational groups or clandestine agents. Well, what we have here is a militia that, by all accounts on the ground, by people who were in the crowd, by people who saw the crowd, by people who talked to people who were reporting from Benghazi that night. You have people saying there were unarmed people and armed people, and that they were responding to this outrage over this video that the whole world was protesting, and they had heavy weapons left over from Gaddafi, and that they just got out, they just got out of their minds about this, and they rushed the compound and attacked it for 4 hours. So you have to decide if it was premeditated, politically motivated violence perpetrated, against targets by subnational groups or clandestine agents. It's just the definition in law. And so that's why the hesitation. For the life of me, I don't know why this is an issue. Truly, I don't. I don't understand it. I will not understand it unless I understand it through the political lens that Mitt Romney wears in his head. Okay? Everything is political. Everything. Everything. Suddenly Mitt Romney cares about Libya. Suddenly Mitt Romney knows the world. Suddenly Mitt Romney is, his thing with China. See, he does business in China. He opens factory. He buys global tech. He, marvels over these young women who are working in dorms where there are 3 to a bunk bed and 1 bathroom for 30 women, and the wires keep other people out because everybody wants to work there. And he buys this small appliance company, Global Tech, and this is his company. And now at Bain, much later, Bain makes another investment in China. And what's really interesting is Mitt Romney calls it, it's a blind trust. It's a blind trust. When Mitt Romney was running for senator against Ed Kennedy, Edward Kennedy said, his money was managed in a blind trust. And Mitt Romney took issue with that and said, that's just, fancy talk. Blind trusts have instructions from the person for whom they are investing. So Mitt Romney had to leave instructions with his blind trust about whether or not he wants to invest in China. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. There wasn't one truthful thing that came out of that man's mouth. He made an ass of himself on national television last night. And of course, the people on the Fox can't handle it. The people on talk radio can't handle it. And so they're just, pretending that Mitt Romney isn't like a world heavyweight champion liar, and that what he said last night is what he's always been saying, or what he said last night he really means, that the president did something, like a cover-up. What a lousy cover-up, because less than 12 hours later he's in the Rose Garden calling it an act of terror. This just mesmerizes me, this whole entire environment in which we toil. Because there used to be a time when we all agreed on the facts, and then we had opinions, but no longer. Allison in L.A.
Hi, Randy. It's really exciting to talk to you. I've listened for a long time, and I've never called in before.
Oh.
My question was basically about Mitt Romney, Governor Romney's entire response to the equal pay question last night.
He never answered that question.
Well, no, he didn't answer it at all. But what he did say, I actually found to be incredibly offensive as a 31-year-old working woman. And I'm trying to figure out if I'm overreacting to what he said, because I'm getting a lot of different signals from the men and the women in my life about how everyone else seems to be responding to what he had said.
Meaning what? What?
I just don't. I felt like it was all just putting women down the entire time. His entire answer was basically saying we're lucky to be in the workforce and we should be grateful for jobs and things like that. And I just don't know if I'm overreacting.
Well, I'll tell you this. What he said about asking for a study and all that and going out and, talking to women's organizations and finding them and, that's a lie. That never happened. And it's in the local newspaper, the Boston Phoenix. They have had many articles about Mitt Romney. And in fact, the amount of women that served in the Romney cabinet and agencies and, senior positions fell. He, from the time he took office to the time he left office, you had, less women working in important positions. They also say that the positions he picked women to serve in, he picked 14 women. He put them in charge of agencies that he was, that he didn't want to succeed, that he wasn't going to mess with. No woman got a job working in, working on the budget or working on, anything with business, or small businesses or small business minister. No, so listen, he's just disingenuous. And why in the world does he say in one breath that he knows everything about the economy because he was a businessman who hasn't worked in 10 years? But then he doesn't say, when I was a businessman, I hired women when no one else did, or I hired women to be in the financial field, because there were many. He hired no women at Bain Capital. I mean, none.
So the only time he hired women was when he was in office.
And a group of women called Mass Gap, okay, which was a bipartisan organization of women, Republican women and Democratic women, who were concerned that there weren't enough women serving in state government and senior positions in state government. They're the ones that put a binder together with women's resumes in there and said to Mitt Romney, when you put your cabinet together, we would really appreciate it. There's 40 women's groups here. We would appreciate it if you would up the women, the amount of women that work in senior positions in government. Of course, he didn't, but he lied last night.
Yeah. Well, it just continues my feeling of being a little disgusted by his entire response to half the population.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't think I overreacted.
No, you didn't overreact. He has disdain for half the population of America. Now he indicates he also has disdain for half the population by gender.
Right.
Yeah. And, look, it's really interesting. He's touting his business acumen, his business career, even though this guy's been running for office since 1994. Okay. That's a long ass time. Okay. That is 20 years of not being a businessman, but running for office. So, but he wants to be a businessman in your head. So he says that when it's convenient. But when they ask him about business and women and the Fair Pay Act, he doesn't say a word about when he was in business at Bain, that there were no women partners, and he was the CEO. Okay. He could have insisted that they hire women. He did not. So the whole business career is on, is on the dung heap over here. Okay. Well, forget about that now. Now forget that I was in business and that I didn't hire any women. Now I'm going to talk to you about, and I'm going to tell you some sad story about how I asked for a study. Why surely there must be some qualified women. That is not what happened. It's just a lie. It's just another lie. Just like, he says he's for the Blunt Amendment, which would allow your employer to decide what kind of health care coverage women get in the insurance plan, which is ridiculous because the insurance company, is an insurance company. You don't buy a plan and then say, oh, but, I have a moral objection to the women that work for me going to their doctor and being prescribed birth control. So I don't want, if I buy your plan, Aetna or United, I don't want to provide my female employees with any kind of, you really have to go out of your way to do it, is the point. And Romney said he wasn't for that last night, but he went on a radio show in February and he said he was for it. And he laughed it off. Oh, of course I support the Blunt Amendment.
Listen, I got to ask you here about the Washington Post has got a blog out here saying that Jim Heath, a reporter for a TV station in Ohio, just tweeted a remarkable piece of news. Mitt Romney told them he does not support the Blunt Amendment, which would empower employers and insurers to deny health coverage they find morally objectionable. What happened here? Did you really say?
I didn't understand his question. Of course I support the Blunt Amendment. I thought he was talking about some state law that prevented people from getting contraception. So I was simply, I misunderstood the question, and of course I support the Blunt Amendment.
That's the amendment that to Obamacare that would allow for employers to say no to women in their insurance plan for contraception. He also wants to get rid of Planned Parenthood. And all of a sudden last night he didn't want to get rid of Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood provides contraception, cancer screenings. That's most of what they do. 3% of what Planned Parenthood does is abortion. Everything that planning your parenthood involves contraception and, education about how you get pregnant and when you get pregnant and what you need to do not to get pregnant.
Of course you get rid of Obamacare. That's the easy one. But there are others. Planned Parenthood, we're going to get rid of that.
I mean, come on. He has no respect for women at all. None, zero, zip. Last night, all of a sudden, he was a great champion of women. Oh, it blows my mind. Kelvin in Louisiana.
Hey, Randy, how you doing?
Hey.
Hey, if I'm not mistaken, being a governor is a government job, and he said the government don't create jobs, right?
Yeah.
Now, another thing is there's two other groups of people he needs to tell about this. One of them is the government, and the other one is his campaign. Because they're also running for president, which is the government job, right?
Yeah, but his opening statement was that he has a plan as president, which is funny. Like no congressional, interference or anything. Just as president, he's just going to show up and he will create 12 million jobs. Of course, the government doesn't create any jobs, but he will create 12 million jobs. It's so hypocritical, Calvin. It's stupid. It makes no sense.
It's just like when he said that he's not going to lower, that the rich isn't going to pay any lower than what they're paying now. But he's talking about getting rid of the inheritance tax, getting rid of the dividend tax. And we know a lot of CEOs are getting paid in stocks now.
Right, dividends.
The CEO won't pay any taxes at all once he cash in his stock that they quartered the year.
Absolutely. They will take less in earned income. They will take $1 to be CEO, and everything else will be paid in stock. Everything else, all their multi-million-dollar compensation packages will be all in stock. That's pretty much what he's saying there. And how do you pay for that? Well, somebody's got to pay because he swears he's not going to blow up the deficit, right?
And there's such projectionists that they don't remember when Bush flew over New Orleans during Katrina, which was a tragedy for real, and it wasn't investigated like this was, as far as the levees breaking and everything. So, I mean, they always project something that they've done onto us.
Always. It's Freudian projection is what it is. It's exactly that. And why I love you too, Calvin. Drive safe. And why Dr. Keith Ablomi doesn't get this basic concept in psychiatry, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, my God. And then the immigration thing. I mean, look, Mitt Romney has said over and over and over and over he would veto the DREAM Act. And then last night he became this guy who doesn't want to deport people. He doesn't want to, deport the children. What? My head was spinning. But, I do feel kind of bad for conservatives because they must have whiplash trying to follow this guy. Oh, my God. 48 after.
Randy Rhodes.
Fearless. Honest. Real. This is The Randy Rhodes Show.
Every day, businesses lose critical customer and financial data as a result of cybercrimes, human errors, and natural disasters. Barracuda Networks, the world leader in content security, application delivery, and data protection, with more than 130,000 customers worldwide, can help. Barracuda Backup Service combines local backup and deduplication for rapid restores with data storage in the cloud for fail-safe disaster recovery. Protect your critical data. Visit barracuda.com/backup to try Barracuda Backup Service free for 30 days. That's barracuda.com/backup.
I am the new way to work, and I am not alone. More companies, from the startups to the large multi-location companies, are realizing that office solutions from Regis are tailor-made for their needs, whatever those needs may be. With Regis, they get to invest in their business instead of lobby art and phone systems. They get the local presence they need without the long-term lease. I am the new way to work, and I'd like you to join me. Start now and get 2 months free at regis.com/radio or call 1-800-OFFICES. That's 1-800-OFFICES.
Halloween! You see
see the most gruesome characters walking up and down State Street. And where do they find their festive attire? St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores, of course. You'll find tuxes for the well-dressed Frankenstein or bridal gowns for his beautiful bride. Go wild with the vintage prom dresses. They're not just for women anymore. There are wigs and hats to suit your personality of the person you've always wanted to be. There's uniforms, military uniforms, band uniforms, waitress uniforms, and scrubs. Create your alter ego with costumes from St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. Their Williamson Street has the most incredible selection. Check out their website at svdpmadison.org. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. The best Halloween costumes that don't cost an arm and a leg.
And now in Verona, too. This heavyweight bout is about to begin. The challenger wears white trunks with a blue stripe, and the champ is wearing, looks like an examination gown from the doctor's office. And from the back, we can... Ooh, that's not pretty. Champ, what's with the crazy getup?
I've got to take care of my family.
Yeah, so?
Well, when you love your family, you got to go in and get those important medical screenings. A lot of potentially deadly diseases can be treated if you catch them in time.
So you wear the examination gown because...
Because I'm a real man. Real men take care of their families and get those tests. Real men wear gowns.
Okay, champ, good luck. Here we go. The champ's not wasting any time. It's over. This fight is over. Champ, you barely broke a sweat. Any words for your fans out there?
Remember, go to ahrq.gov for a list of the tests they need to get and when to get them.
What was that web address again?
ahrq.gov. And remember, real men wear gowns.
Go to ahrq.gov. This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, AHRQ, and the Ad.
Club and receive a gift card to the area's hottest restaurant, Buck and Honey's.
Turn down the noise, turn up your mind with Randi Rhodes on Premier Radio Networks.
Access your entire work computer from your iPad or your iPhone like I do with the Go to My PC mobile apps. They are amazing. I want you to try it free for 45 days. For my special offer, visit gotomypc.com, click on the try it free button and enter the promo code RHODES. Go to mypc.com and enter the promo code RHODES. All right, Kurt in Southern California.
Hey, how you doing today, Randy?
Hey.
Hey, I wanted to bring your comment on some of these supposedly undecided voters that Frank Luntz and CNN seem to crop up with after the debates. And I just find this, I am just bewildered as to the number of women especially, but it's in general, of people who still can't seem to know who's the best candidate. And case in point is when on one of the topics with this non-answer of equal pay for women.
Yeah.
When Romney, as he told the story, I mean, what I came away with it, if I was a woman, okay, not knowing who, you know, what the facts were, and I was undecided, and I just now tuned in a week ago, and someone dodged the question and then told me they hired a lot of women, whether he was put on the spot to hire them or not. What I came with it was that he figured out at some point in time he could get hire two women for the price of one man. And save a whole
well, you know what's really astounding? What's astounding is suddenly his whole business career is, you know, like put on the dung heap of the ash bin of history. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need to talk about his time at Bain, where he was CEO and hired no women to be partners. None. Not one ever. For 20 years, not one woman. And then he says, you know, he's elected as governor. He doesn't know any women, so that he needs somebody to go and do a study and then bring in binders with. I mean, you're running for governor. It takes more than a year to do it. You don't know any legislators. You don't know anybody at your State Department or you don't know anybody that's qualified through your whole, you know, travails is running for. It's such an absurd story. And then you find out it wasn't even true, and that just adds insult to injury.
Exactly. So if I'm a woman on an undecided panel, I'm not going to sit there and say, well, I really like the fact that he hired women in his cabinet. You should be like, well, how come he doesn't, at 50 years old, you don't know any qualified women by
He's
now?
62.
Yeah, Well, I'm just saying whenever he was governor, and did this, I don't know how old he was. So I'm just saying, how can you go through life not knowing any qualified women? That's like saying, well, I didn't know any qualified black people, so I had to go out and get the NAACP to find me some executives. I mean, it's insulting.
It's really ridiculous,
right,
I know.
But I'm saying, how does Frank Luntz find women that are still undecided and say, well, I'm going to vote for Romney because I don't know what Obama has been doing for 4 years, and I'm so disappointed. Disappointed because he signed the Lilly Ledbetter Act the minute he got into office?
And disappointed because when there was some sort of a question from Catholic charities and private Catholic hospitals and things like that about providing contraception, when they had a moral objection, Obama solved that problem literally overnight. He said, you know what, the insurance companies will provide, you don't have to provide anything. We'll take it right off your plate, and we'll make sure that any insurance policy that is, traded on the exchange has contraception, and it will be the job of the insurance company, and they will provide it for free because they've done their cost benefit analysis and realize that pregnant women are more expensive on health insurance than women who use contraception. And so he solved that problem. Then Roy Blunt, that idiot from Missouri, he comes up with the Blunt Amendment and says, oh no, every employer can have a moral objection and not provide any contraception from any private insurance carrier to any woman they decide not to provide to. And Romney signs on to that, and then last night becomes, oh, I'm not about that. I never said that employers should be able to, or the government should interfere in a woman's choice. Really?
Yeah, it's all ridiculous, Randy. And so while you're banging your head against the wall trying to figure out what they're talking about, where this thing is going...
listen, I'll tell you this. Anybody who is an undecided voter in New York at this point is an idiot. There's no need to talk to them.
Well, I'm glad you said it.
No, it's true. I mean, come on. This is ridiculous. What am I talking to people from Nassau County, Long Island, who are still undecided? Oh, and by the way, that guy that goes, hey, me and my friends were sitting around talking about Benghazi. Oh, bite me. You were sitting around listening to freaking Rush Limbaugh. I mean, that was such a BS question.
Exactly. The shield. That's all I wanted to tell you, Randy. The shield.
Come on. That was a total shield. That guy lied to whoever screened him. I'm undecided. Bullcrap, dude. I know you. I lived there. You're a lying sack of crap. Yeah, me and my buddies were sitting down at our company, in the break room, and we're talking about Benghazi. Yeah, I know. That just trips off the tongue. It comes up every freaking day. No, you're listening to Freaks on Talk Radio. Turn it off. Get with it. Grow up.
This is The Randy Rhoads Show on the Premier Radio Networks.
When you're running a small business, your hours aren't exactly the traditional 9 to 5. You work around the clock. So the limited hours that you have, you don't want to be spending at the post office, and maybe you're not available when the post office is open. So that's why you need Stamps.com. You get postage on demand right from your desk whenever you need it. 24/7. With Stamps.com, you buy and print genuine, official, 100% U.S. postage using your own computer and printer. You get everything from stamps to shipping labels the instant you need it, and then you just hand your mail to the mailman. You don't need an expensive postage meter anymore, and you never, ever have to go to the post office again. I'm telling you, everything you could do at the post office, you can now do right from your desk. Right now, if you use my last name, Rhodes, you can try this special offer. There's no risk to do this, but there is a $110 bonus offer, and that will come with a free digital scale and $55 in free postage. So don't wait. Go to Stamps.com, and before you do anything else, click on the radio microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Rhodes. Stamps.com, promo code Rhodes.
Broadcasting daily from the 5-9 studio, Madison's home for progressive talk. The Mic 92.1 WXXM, Sun Prairie, Madison.
There's always a moment of truth where I say, look, it's either put up or shut up. And it was time to put up. I had crossed that thin line. It was 100+ degrees. We were hot. We were on fire. We were yelling our hearts out. You could feel the intensity rising. Even in our tiredness, even in our weakness, even in our pain, we continued to push. I told myself, you can suck up the pain for another 1.5 miles, and you will be a Marine. Not many people believe that I could do it. I don't know where I got the energy from. I don't know where the pain went to. But all I know is that I had what it took. I am a United States Marine.
PFC Darrell Willis serves his country as a Marine. Will you? Visit Marines.com or call 1-800-MARINES. The few, the proud, the Marines.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. A plot to blow up the Federal Reserve in New York. The FBI says it has thwarted an attempt by a would-be terrorist who is now under arrest. Agents say if he had been successful, untold numbers of innocent bystanders could have been killed. More details from ABC's Aaron Katursky.
Qazi Mohammed Nafis came to this country earlier this year from Bangladesh with what prosecutors called single-minded determination to attack. Court records said he claimed al-Qaeda connections, but there's no evidence he was anything but a so-called lone wolf. Nafis was arrested in a sting operation after he parked a van filled with what he thought was a 1,000-pound bomb outside the Federal Reserve building here. The bomb was inoperable, provided by an FBI source, and the public was never in danger.
Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the alleged mastermind of the 9/11 attacks, made a surprise announcement at his military tribunal at Guantanamo. ABC's Stephen Portnoy explains what he said.
Clad for the first time in court in a camouflage vest over his white tunic, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed raised his hand and asked to address the military judge. As relatives of 9/11 victims looked on, KSM accused the government of using national security as it chooses and presiding over the killing of, quote, millions of people. After 10 minutes, the judge angrily called the dressing down a one-time occurrence, saying he won't entertain comments from the accused again.
Do multivitamins keep cancer away? To a certain extent for white men over age 50, say researchers at Boston's Brigham and Women's Hospital.
What they found was a slight reduction in overall cancer rate. It was about 8%. That's not a lot. There was no reduction in death from cancer. And there was no reduction in any particular cancer.
ABC Chief Health and Medical Editor Dr. Richard Besser. CDC says the number of cases of fungal meningitis has grown. Those affected can be found in 15 states. 19 have died so far. Dow is up 5 today, NASDAQ up 3. You're listening to ABC News.
Attention homeowners. If your home has lost value and you now owe more than your home is worth, please listen carefully to this very important message. If you purchased a home or refinanced your loan before June of 2009, Quicken Loans may now be able to help you refinance at today's incredibly low interest rates, even if you owe more than your home is worth. This is Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans, and I want to let you know that on September 14th of this year, the government announced changes that may allow you to refinance even if your home has lost value. So if your current mortgage is higher than 3.99%, please call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN. Even if you owe more than your home is worth, you may now be able to refinance at today's incredibly low rates. Again, if you've been unable to refinance because you owe more than your home is worth and your rate is above 3.99%, call 800-QUICKEN now and let us help you take advantage of this unique opportunity.
Important terms and conditions apply. Call us for cost information. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Another green energy firm is filed for bankruptcy.
A123 Systems makes batteries for electric vehicles. It received a big grant from the Energy Department. Because of weak sales and rising losses, the firm has filed for Chapter 11. A spokeswoman for Mitt Romney's campaign calls the bankruptcy yet another failure for the president's disastrous strategy of gambling away billions of taxpayer dollars. But unlike the failed energy firm Solyndra, A123 Systems is still in business and may find a foreign buyer.
ABC's Richard Davies. We're learning more about the circumstances surrounding the death of former Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi.
Almost a year after Muammar Gaddafi's capture and death, Human Rights Watch has released a report detailing the execution of scores of others in that ill-fated convoy. The report said that at least 66 Libyans who were fleeing Tripoli with Gaddafi were captured and then killed. One of Gaddafi's sons was also captured that day. He was later found dead with a huge chest wound. Amateur video showed that Gaddafi was captured alive on October 20th last year and is believed to have been executed by his captors shortly thereafter. Alex Marquardt, ABC News.
A longtime Maine high school hockey coach whose name appeared on a list of 21 men accused of paying a local Zumba fitness instructor for sex is now stepped down. School Superintendent Andrew Doloff said today that Kennebunk High School coach Donald Hill announced the day before he would not be renewing his contract for next season for personal reasons. This is ABC News.
Mike Rowe here at a Ford dealer with a little Q&A for Fiona. According to the signs, Ford is having some sort of big tire event. How would you describe the event?
It's big.
The savings one might enjoy at the event.
They're big.
What about the selection?
Big.
Get a $60 mail-in rebate on Ford Select tires. Use the Ford Service credit card for an extra $60.
So I think we can agree then that Ford's tire event is good-sized.
No, Michael. It's big.
Subject to credit approval. Rebate by check. Offer cannot be combined. See participating Ford dealer for rebate and other offer details through 11/30/12.
Sherry.
Can you tell if these vegetables are being contaminated with bacteria that could cause paralysis? Listen. Can't, can you? You can't see it either. Use different cutting boards so that the bacteria in raw meats and seafood and their juices doesn't touch prep surfaces for other foods, like veggies. Raw food may contain bacteria that can make you very sick, or worse. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year, and roughly 3,000 will die. But you can keep your family safer by separating raw meats and seafood from other foods. Learn more about this and other important information. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov. That's foodsafety.gov. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
If you're a veteran in crisis or know a veteran who is, confidential support is only a phone call away. Call the Veterans Crisis Line today at 1-800-273-8255 and press 1.
Dear Brutus. The clock has started. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Corporations are people, my friend.
Give me a break.
This is the Randy Rhoads Show. Turn up your mind.
Relax. Zip it. The strategic meeting of the Secret Council of Conservative Elders will come to order. Well, people, guess what we're talking about today? Yeah, who is in charge of prepping Mitt on how to respond if... Oh, I don't know, if Obama said something, or if the moderator moderated.
Give us a break, boss. How are we supposed to know what Obama was going to say?
He's easy to predict. He tells the truth, you idiot.
The truth? The truth? Is that even allowed? Seems a little unfair.
Shut up, all of you. All right, roll the tape.
You said in the Rose Garden, the day after the attack, it was an act of terror.
Boss, please. As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly. Don't make me listen to this, please. You gotta learn before Monday. Keep rolling.
Want to make sure we get that for the record, because it took the president 14 days before he called the attack in Benghazi an act of terror.
Get the transcript.
He did, in fact, sir, call it an act of terror.
Can you say that a little louder, Candy?
On the upside, she actually never did say it louder.
Shut up!
Okay.
Rule number 1 about setting a mousetrap, you don't do it with your tongue. Now what are we gonna do?
Boss, excuse me, I have an idea. This is the quote that Twitter went crazy over.
Stupid, but distracting.
Yeah, it's better to have people laugh at a gaffe than actually look hard at the rest of last night's fiasco.
All right, it's a start. Good work.
Just trying to...
For next time, I want 12 poorly phrased, somewhat kinky-sounding double entendres. You got that? That's going to be our firewall.
Oh, no.
As far as lunch goes today, the Obama campaign sent over a buffet of crow. No, and you're all going to eat it. Yeah, you too. Get back in here.
Okay. All right, Duff. I think you're going to puke if you keep doing that. But yeah, unbelievable. This debate last night, it was a slam dunk for people who care about truth and justice and the American way. And for those who just wanted an angry bully on the stage, you got that. You did. And frankly, Mitt Romney is a front-running phony. He's dangerous. He truly is dangerous. I don't know what it is that's appealing about him to anybody, and I certainly can't figure out how anybody could be undecided. I I don't know. I don't know how that is possible. The whole setup last night, Gallup supposedly found these undecided voters, and that guy who was sitting there, I got a question. Me and my buddies were sitting around in the break room talking about Benghazi, Libya. Yeah, right. Sure you were. That's talk radio. That was a talk radio fool. That was a moron. That was somebody that actually thinks that the people, on the TV are his friends. This is a guy who really thinks that the, little moving creatures on the TV are somehow his buddies. I don't know, how we got there in this country, but the propaganda is amazing. Then, after we did the Benghazi stuff and we did the equal pay bull crap story. That story is just totally untrue. It didn't happen. I don't know why he told it. I don't know. Does he think that no one reports anything anymore? There still are some reporters out there. There still are some people who write for newspapers that actually do fact checks. As a matter of fact, the ABC News fact check team, there was a whole bunch of people, they went through this thing, point by point. Nothing that Romney said was true last night. Nothing. They went through the primary debates and what Romney said about immigration. He did say Arizona law was a model for the nation. In fact, the question to him was about Sheriff Arpaio. And the question was asked by John King in Mesa, Arizona. He asked Romney, what about arresting? Should there be aggressive, seek them out, find them, and arrest them, as the Sheriff Arpaio advocates? And Romney's response is, I think you see a model in Arizona. They passed a law here that says that people who come here and try to find work, and he talks about E-Verify, which is what he said he was only talking about, but he goes on to say that not only should you use E-Verify, but that people who, the Obama administration, who was fighting and fought all the way to the Supreme Court, that SB 1070 was unconstitutional and won, by the way. The Obama, Justice Department won on SB 1070. The Supreme Court said, no, you can't, suspect people of being illegal because of their skin color. No, you can't force them to produce papers because of the color of their skin or their accent. No, you can't do that. Romney said in that same debate, in that same answer, that he thought that if he was president, not that he thought, but if he was president, he would stop prosecuting that case immediately. Day one. He's going to do a lot of things on day one. I just couldn't believe what I was listening to last night. It was just the most ridiculous thing.
Self-deportation says let people make their own choice. What I was saying is we're not going to round up 12 million people, undocumented, illegals, and take them out of the nation. Instead, let people make their own choice.
Oh.
During the Republican primary, he said, I will veto the DREAM Act that would allow these young people to have access. His main strategy during the Republican primary was to say, we're going to encourage self-deportation, making life so miserable on folks that they'll leave. He called the Arizona law a model for the nation.
I did not say that the Arizona law was a model for the nation in that aspect. I said that the E-Verify portion of the Arizona law, which is the portion of the law which says that employers could be able to determine whether someone is here illegally or not illegally, that was a model for the nation.
You did mention E-Verify, but you said that arresting people was a model for the nation. You talked about E-Verify, and then you said, as president, you would drop this case. This case he's talking about dropping went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, as it is today, actually said, no, you can't you can't have a law that says papers, please.
But what about arresting? Should there be aggressive, seek them out, find them, and arrest them as Sheriff Arpaio advocates?
I think you see a model here in Arizona. They passed a law here that says that people who come here and try and find work, that the employer is required to look them up on E-Verify. This E-Verify system allows employers in Arizona to know who's here legally and who's not here legally. And as a result of E-Verify being put in place, the number of people in Arizona that are here illegally has dropped by some 14%, where the national average has only gone down 7%. So going back to the question that was asked, the right course for America is to drop these lawsuits against Arizona and other states that are trying to do the job Barack Obama isn't doing. And I will drop those lawsuits on day one. I'll also complete the fence. I'll make sure we have enough Border Patrol agents to secure the fence. And I will make sure we have an E-Verify system and require employers to check the documents of workers and to check E-Verify. And if an employer hires someone that has not gone through E-Verify, they're going to get sanctioned just like they do for not paying their taxes. You do that, and just as Arizona is finding out, you can stop illegal immigration. It's time we finally did it.
The question is, if I were elected and Congress were to pass the DREAM Act, would I veto it? And the answer is yes. I'm delighted with the idea that people who come to this country and wish to serve in the military can be given a path to become permanent residents of this country. Those who serve in our military and fulfill those requirements, I respect and acknowledge that path.
Okay, so check out what he said last night, too. And you got to really parse Romney, because Romney's a parser, okay? We're going to have if we ever had a president like Mitt Romney, you would have to listen to every syllable he said, because it all depends for him on what the meaning of is, okay? That is what Romney's all about. He's not saying a path to citizenship. He's saying legal residency. He's saying if you serve in the military, if you lay down your life for this country, you still can't become a citizen. In Romney world, you get a legal resident card if you serve in the military. This guy is just pandering. That's the crazy, truth about Mitt Romney. Just pandering. You know, the guy Chris Kobach is the name of the person who drafted SB 1070. He filed a lawsuit to stop Obama's administrative action. Romney told Univision in September that he hadn't ever met with Chris Kobach. He said, he may be part of the policy team, but I've not met with him yet, and I don't know whether he is or he is not. In April, the campaign described Kobach as a supporter rather than an advisor to Glenn Thrush at Politico. Then Chris Kobach, the author of SB 1070, told Think Progress that he was communicating regularly with Romney advisors and that he was still, quote, providing advice on immigration policy. I don't want to go into great detail, but I communicate regularly with senior members of the Romney team. So, I mean, it's an amazing thing. Lisa in Long Beach, California.
Hi, Randy. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Hey.
All right. I have 2 points I'd like to make. First is that Mitt Romney claims to be a man of God, and yet he will say whatever it takes to win the presidency, including lying.
Yeah.
Which is such an offense to Americans. My second point is actions do really speak louder than words, because at the end of the debate, the candidates were joined on stage, by their wives, and they were mingling with the people. And what I noticed was Romney made his way out with his security team, and he left his wife behind. He totally abandoned her, and I think she's a Stepford wife. She appears to be that way. But that says volumes to me as a woman. He even disrespected his own wife and walked out.
Listen, Mitt Romney has a very negative view of women. He has a negative view of who we are and what our health needs are, who should, if we pay for insurance, whether or not we should be able to get contraception, but it should all cover Viagra. He thinks that, he needs to get rid of Planned Parenthood, which is how we plan our parenthood. Look, the guy is duplicitous. He is a liar. He's a shapeshifter, whatever you want to call it. He can't be trusted. And you know something, in the end, if we elect somebody that we can't trust again, someone we're not sure of again, someone we hope will do the right thing, even though they refuse to tell us what their plans are, how much it'll cost, where we'll go to war, when we'll go to war, under what circumstances we'll go to war, what he would do for women's rights. We know he wants a constitutional amendment to end same-sex marriage. That he's totally, that never came up last night. I don't know why, but there was no discussion of his call for a constitutional amendment. We're going to amend the Constitution to leave people out for the first time in our history, according to Romney. When we amend the Constitution, it's to include people. It's even to include alcohol. It's not to ban alcohol. Although we did do that once, and how'd that turn out? I'm telling you, the guy is such a creep. He's just a creepy guy. 19 after.
Randy Rhodes.
Freedom of speech. Deal with it. This is the Randy Rhodes Show.
Chris Matthews, host of Hardball, weeknights at 7 Eastern on MSNBC.
You know, I love to vote. I love to get into that voting booth and register my opinion. After all the newspapers I've read, all the TV debates I've watched, I want to matter. A lot of people don't want you to matter. What they're doing is making it harder to register to vote, requiring more and more paperwork just to get in that voting booth. Don't let them get away with it. Get out there and vote.
Lean forward. MSNBC. Ed Schultz, host of The Ed Show, weeknights at 8 Eastern on MSNBC.
I love to go out on the road. You get a pulse of what Americans feel on issues, whether it's about health care or whether it's about workers' rights. And you don't have to meet 1,000 people. You just have to hear all of a sudden the same narrative come back at you. My dad used to tell me you're going to learn a heck of a lot more listening than you are talking. Some of that got through to me.
Lean forward. MSNBC.
Congratulations on your new car. Now it's time to update that old insurance policy.
Prairie Insurance is independent with personalized options, not one-size-fits-all answers. For your free insurance review, call 251-3009. Prairie Land Insurance.
Our best is the very least we can do.
At Madison Computer Works, we get calls from people who've seen competitors' ads for flat-rate computer service and think it sounds like a good deal. In the end, they often spend more than $300 and their computer still isn't fixed. Many things we include in our 30-point checklist are options at other places, each with a separate fee. Add up all their charges, you could easily spend 2 to 3 times the money than if you just bring it into us. When you need anything for your computer, your best value for fast, affordable quality service is still at Madison Computer Works. Computers that work for you.
The wet roads definitely slowing things up out on the Beltline. Don't need any issues for that to happen. Mineral Point Road down to the interstate, a 22-minute ride. That's a 7-minute delay. On the other side of things, delayed by about 2 to 3 minutes. It's just slow all over the place. Folks taking their time. That's why it's slowing up for you. If you see any problems, tip line number 442-HELP from the Wisconsin Bank and Trust Total Traffic Center. I'm Dick Alpert.
Hi, I'm Phil Kogan, host of the popular Amazing Race reality show. But one reality no one chooses to be a part of their life is the challenge of multiple sclerosis. Join me and move it to end MS. Whether you volunteer, bike, walk, advocate, educate, support, every action you take moves us closer to a world free of multiple sclerosis and motivates family, friends, and neighbors to join and build the MS movement. The National MS Society addresses the challenges of each person affected by MS by funding cutting-edge research, driving change through advocacy, facilitating professional education, collaboration with MS organizations around the world, and providing programs and services designed to help people with MS and their families move their lives forward. Progress on MS can't wait. Please move it today. Visit nationalmssociety.org.
From the Wisconsin Bank and Trust Total Traffic Center, I'm Dick Alpert.
Tour Prairie Athletic Club and receive a gift card to the area's hottest restaurant, Buck and Honey's.
Randy Rhodes, 24/7, online and on demand. Get access to live streaming video, show podcasts, and 60 days of Randy archives. Visit randyrhodes.com today and join Randy Rhodes 24/7 for just $6.95 a month. Now, back to Randy.
When you think about backing up your computer files, easy probably isn't the first word that comes to your mind, but it would if you had Carbonite Online Backup. I have Carbonite Online Backup, and all I ever think about is it's easy and it's automatic. I never have to do anything, and I just have peace of mind. And that's what's so great about Carbonite. You set it up one time, and it's so simple. It practically self-installs. You have to click, a couple of things. And then your computer files are automatically and continually backed up for you whenever you're connected to the internet, so you never have to back up again, and your stuff is there, and you can can retrieve it. In fact, for $59 a year, you can have all your files, unlimited backup space, no matter how big your files are for your PC or Mac. And you can now access your backed up files from any computer, any tablet, any smartphone. And if you run a small business, Carbonite has a plan that'll back up all your computers, all of them, for one low, flat annual fee. Carbonite runs at home. It runs here in the office. It runs on everyone's computer because I never want to hear the excuse, I lost my stuff. Call Carbonite.com, type in my offer code RHODES. You can try it free. There is no credit card required. And you'll get 2 bonus months free with your subscription. Carbonite.com, and of course the offer code is RHODES. So I misreported something, and I need for you to know this. The Supreme Court decided that some of SB 1070 could be upheld, and Section 2B of SB 1070 was the profiling part, and they actually said, yeah, you can do it. So I just want you to understand what this country would look like if we didn't have a president who, was going to take people who had open minds and no political agenda whatsoever and place them upon the Supreme Court or ask for them to be confirmed to the Supreme Court. Romney will pick business-friendly ideologues, people who will say businesses are people and people are to be profiled. I made a mistake and I'm sorry. Dean in L.A.
Randy.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. I can't remember the last time I had so much fun watching a debate.
No, it was great.
Cheering, my girlfriend and I high-fiving each other. I mean, it was like watching an NFL football match.
Except when you watch the NFL, like if the Miami Dolphins win, you don't lose your health care. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Yeah.
Good point. And the referees are, they're good referees. Imagine if you...
The union ones are.
Yeah, I know. But there was one point, I mean... It was amazing to watch. I was glad. I was fortunate to go home and in time to actually watch. And there was one point, though, that I just was totally bamboozled. During Romney's explanation, specifying how we would possibly make up for the 20% across-the-board reduction in tax rates.
He can't tell you.
His explanation was a bucket that you would fill with deductions. And wait, you're going to put the deductions we don't get in this bucket? Or what? I lost track of what he meant.
Yeah, well, he's just, I love when he says, let's just make up a number. I mean, he won't even tell us what the amount of deductions I could have are. But,
let's just say 25,000.
Let's just say that for now.
25,000 deductions.
Yeah, really. So somebody making 25,000, pays no tax. Is that your plan? I mean, it makes no sense. You can't follow it because there's nothing to follow. He won't give you the breadcrumbs. He won't tell you any specifics. And every single economist in this country who is serious and not on the team Romney has said his math does not add up. Nothing he said last night adds up. No one can make any sense out of anything he's saying. No one.
Really hoping
Here's another place where he lied. Last night he said, Obama doubled the deficit. Really?
Yes.
Go check the math. That is absolutely untrue. He's actually cut the deficit by about 8% since he made the pledge to cut it in half before he was able to go through the books and realized just how much crap was off the books. So
there was actually also one issue regarding, I guess, their track record, and I really had hoped that, like what you had mentioned once, I'd heard about Romney had vetoed 800 times as governor of Massachusetts.
Yes, and he was and he was overridden 700 times.
Overridden 700 times.
Yeah, real bipartisan guy. Yeah, he's easy to work with. Plus, he had a velvet rope around his office, and he needed his own private elevator so that the other, slovenly legislators couldn't talk to him, couldn't buttonhole him, couldn't, make their case to him in a short little elevator ride. Everybody knows that when you go on a job interview, you're supposed to have your elevator pitch. Right? Which is you explain to somebody why you'd be a great hire in an elevator ride. It's called the elevator pitch. And it's a really handy way to, just to get, like the president does it and Romney did, to get a 2-minute answer. Okay?
Right, yeah.
And so everybody should practice that when they're going on a big job interview. However, Romney refused to let them in the elevator. So they couldn't give him the elevator pitch. I mean, this guy is crazy. He's really crazy.
There was one last thing. I wish I'd like to hear from Obama whenever they bring up the point, like, we don't want to go through what we've faced for the last 4 years, that he would say something regarding, like, what, like the recovery we've accomplished, and or mentioning like how he's failed to get certain things done that he promised. Try going up against a conservative GOP Congress that has filibustered me 214 times.
Never mind that. That's the Senate, the filibuster. The House is full of teabaggers now. 2010, we elected 83 of those morons.
Right, the slumber party.
Yeah, right, and everything just came to a screeching halt for 2 years. For 2 years. And Obama never puts down his Congress. It's amazing. I don't know how he resists. I don't know how he doesn't say, you sent, the country did not show up to vote in 2010, and only the most angry people did, and you sent me 83 people that really have to go. They don't know what they're doing.
He's incredibly presidential.
I know. It's unbelievable. But just so you know, he did not double the deficit. He reduced the deficit by 8%, okay? And if you let him raise taxes on the very wealthy, we'll get more revenue, and that pays down the debt.
Randy Rhodes.
Turn up your mind. Here, now. This is the Randy Rhodes Show.
Start your day on the mic. 92.1.
This is Dr. Richard Levine. Recently, the wife of a colleague asked me why a psychologist would advertise on the radio. I only advertise on 92.1 The Mic. I advertise here because I believe in the Mic's programming and because I want to help you trust yourself as you struggle to place your personal emotional conflicts in the context of the larger issues of the day. I'm Dr. Richard Levine. Call me at 233-2477 or go to independencepsych.com.
I'm Jeff Lindholm, owner of Bethke Heating and Air Conditioning. Wisconsin is the land of weather extremes. Winters are very long and very cold. Get ready for winter's icy blast now with a Bethke fall furnace or boiler tune-up. Bethke Heating and Air Conditioning is here to help. Call 251-2222 or BethkeHeating.com.
Hey, this is Ed from File 13 saying thanks, Mike listeners. Thanks for helping File 13 keep electronic waste out of our landfills. Thanks for helping File 13 stop the export of e-waste to developing nations. And thanks for telling folks there's a Wisconsin family business that'll come to their home or workplace and pick up that electronic junk, be it a storeroom full of computer equipment or just their old TV and VCR. Visit File13USA.com or call File 13 at 848-0013. And remember, every day is Earth Day at File 13.
Join Paradigm Gardens this Saturday, October 20th from 10 to 5 for their iGrow Induction Lighting Open House. Learn about this revolutionary new light technology and enter the free raffle to win your very own iGrow. Meet Ari Seaman, iGrow co-founder and nationally known lighting expert, and don't miss store-wide discounts. This Saturday from 10 to 5 at Paradigm Gardens, your source for high-quality progressive gardening products. 4501 Helgeson Drive in Madison, ParadigmGardens.com.
Who's raising money for the United States of you?
It is a shame! A shame!
What if you could have your own super PAC?
I think it's wrong, and we've got to change it.
Well, we think you should, and we'd like to get you started with $50,000. We'll get your super PAC started by padding your pocket with $1,000. All you have to do is listen for the cue to text and win. Hear the keyword, text it to 36500, and we'll text you back to let you know if you won, and that puts you in the running for the big money.
Play the Progressive Payout. Get more now at themike921.com.
I'm Matt Rothschild, the editor of the Progressive Magazine, with my progressive point of view, which you can also grab off our website over at progressive.org. Last week, a House Oversight Committee held a hearing to look into the security lapses at the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, and the hearing didn't go the Republicans' way or Obama's way. Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan have shamelessly been trying to make hay out of the death of the U.S. ambassador and 3 other Americans there, saying Obama was negligent in not bolstering security. But at this hearing, as Ray McGovern pointed out, the State Department's regional security officer, Eric Nordstrom, acknowledged that a little more security wouldn't have done the job anyway. Having an extra foot of wall or an extra half-dozen guards or agents would not have enabled us to respond to that kind of assault, Nordstrom said. The ferocity and intensity of the attack was nothing that we'd seen in Libya or that I'd seen in my time in the diplomatic security service. And he's been at it 14 years. It was left to Dennis Kucinich to blow holes in the entire Obama policy toward Libya, though. Kucinich pointed out that our military intervention there led to greater instability. He got the commander of the site security team to admit that al-Qaeda's presence grows every day there and that they're certainly more established than we are. And Kucinich got Nordstrom to admit that there are between 10 and 20,000 shoulder-to-air missiles floating around in Libya. Kucinich concluded, "We want to stop the attacks on our embassies. Let's stop trying to overthrow governments." Thank you, Dennis Kucinich, once more. We're sure going to miss you. I'm Matt Rothschild, and that's how I see it.
You know, there are times in which the problems at hand are beyond our control, and this is one of those times. The European economic crisis is placing a great strain on the American economy and is threatening U.S. financial markets, and that's why you should call ITM Trading right now at 1-888-OWN-GOLD, 1-888-OWN-GOLD, and they will send you a free exclusive report called Weathering the European Economic Storm. Just call them at 1-888-OWN-GOLD, 1-888-OWN-GOLD, and they'll send you their free exclusive report, Weathering the European Economic Storm. This exclusive report will give you the real story behind what's threatening the collapse of the euro, how the failing economies of Greece and Spain, Ireland and Portugal and others may send financial shockwaves throughout Europe and Asia and even the United States. Find out why German bailouts and French intervention may not be enough to avoid a European financial meltdown that could be a disaster for U.S. markets. Call 1-888-OWN-GOLD, 1-888-OWN-GOLD, and get your free exclusive report, Weathering the European Economic Storm. And by the way, why does Mitt Romney think that automatic weapons are illegal in the United States? Did somebody pass a law I'm not aware of? Why does he think that? And why did he say that? And you know what was really crazy? Well, yeah, there was an automatic weapons ban in Massachusetts, but I'm not for an automatic weapons ban. Oh, and by the way, automatic weapons are already illegal. They're not illegal. They're hard to get. I'll give you that. You have to submit fingerprints and photographs to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. You have to go through an FBI criminal background check. You have to pay a $200 tax, and there are other requirements too. But they're not illegal. This man is like so stupid on top of being a liar. That is a bad, dangerous combination in a crazy world with a recovery well underway and a fiscal cliff that is staring at him. You think Romney's going to make the right choices when he says he wants to spend $2 trillion more on military stuff, hardware that the military doesn't even want, when we're trying to pay down our debt? I mean, Obama wants to cut spending, squeeze waste and fraud out of programs like Medicare, which he's been really successful at doing, and get some revenue into the government and invest in American jobs like infrastructure, roads, bridges, all that stuff. Rebuild schools, for God's sake, which does create jobs, and then they become taxpayers too. And isn't that good for revenue collection? I mean, it's just his plan makes no sense. That's why this guy just called me and he says, I can't follow his plan because there is no plan.
In terms of bringing down deductions, one way of doing that would be to say everybody gets, I'll pick a number, $25,000 of deductions and credits. And you can decide which ones to use. Your home mortgage interest deduction, charity, child tax credit, and so forth. You can use those as part of filling that bucket, if you will, of deductions.
Okay.
But your rate comes down, and the burden also comes down on you for one more reason. And that is every middle-income taxpayer no longer will pay any tax on interest, dividends, or capital gains.
Because I have so many.
No tax on your savings. That makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, it makes my life so much easier that I don't have to pay taxes on capital gains because I have so many capital gains. I don't even know what to do with them. By the way, though, Mitt Romney's math doesn't add up even if, and this is what that Harvard dude, Marty Feldstein, said, he had to presume, Marty Feldstein, in order to make Romney's numbers even somewhat palatable to an accountant, that middle class is now $100,000 or less. So if you're over 100, you're part of a different class of people in Romney world. Listen, none of it makes any sense. None of it. Absolutely none.
The governor says that he is not going to allow the top 5%, I believe is what he said, to have a tax cut, that it will all even out, that what he wants to do is give that tax cut to the middle class. Settled?
No, it's not settled. Look, the cost of lowering rates for everybody across the board, 20%, along with what he also wants to do in terms of eliminating the estate tax, along what he wants to do in terms of corporates, changes in the tax code, it costs about $5 trillion.
4.8.
Governor Romney then also wants to spend $2 trillion on additional military programs, even though the military is not asking for them. Mm-hmm. That's $7 trillion.
Yes,
he also wants to continue the Bush tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans. That's another $1 trillion. That's $8 trillion.
That's a lot of trillions.
Now, what he says is he's going to make sure that this doesn't add to the deficit, and he's going to cut middle-class taxes. But when he's asked, how are you going to do it, which deductions, which loopholes are you going to close, he can't tell you. The fact that he only has to pay 14% on his taxes when a lot of you are paying much higher, you know, he's already taken that off the board. Capital gains are going to continue to be at a low rate, so we're not going to get money that way. We haven't heard from the governor any specifics beyond Big Bird and eliminating funding for Planned Parenthood in terms of how he pays for that. Now, Governor Romney was a very successful investor. If somebody came to you, Governor, with a plan that said, here, I want to spend $7 or $8 trillion, and we're going to pay for it, but we can't tell you until maybe after the election how we're going to do it.
So
you wouldn't have taken such a sketchy deal.
Ooh.
And neither should you, the American people, because the math doesn't add up. And what's at stake here is one of two things. Either Candy.
Did you hear that sound? You know what that was? That was Romney taking the microphone. I'll do it. I'll do what Romney just did. It's Romney standing there and being so deflated by what Obama just said, and he took the microphone and slammed it into his side. That's what he did. Like to get Candy's attention or something like that. Like a spoiled little brat. Like making noise with the mic. I couldn't believe he did that.
This blows up the deficit because keep in mind, this is just to pay for the additional spending that he's talking about. $7-8 trillion. That's before we even get to the deficit we already have. Or alternatively, it's got to be paid for not only by closing deductions for wealthy individuals. That'll pay for about 4% reduction in tax rates. You're going to be paying for it. You'll lose some deductions. And you can't buy this sales pitch. Nobody who's looked at it that's serious actually believes it adds up.
I love that. I mean, because I am so frustrated that they are running for office, for high office. They're running for president and vice president of the United States. And in 2 debates, they still refuse to give any details, any numbers, anything. It's just a framework and trust me. I know how to do it. And Romney's answer was, I'm a businessman.
If somehow when you get in there isn't enough tax revenue coming in, if somehow the numbers don't add up, would you be willing to look again at a 20%?
Well, of course they add up. I was someone who ran businesses.
Of course they add up, my secret numbers and my secret plan. In my secret world, they add up just secretly fine. It's ridiculous. And that's why I can't understand why anybody's undecided. Okay? I cannot. For the life of me. When your answer to the American people is, trust me, this will cost you nothing. I will do all of these things. I will do more of these things. We will do them all. We will do them better. And they won't cost anybody anything. I just can't believe it. I can't believe people are that stupid. I cannot. I really cannot. They were not that stupid in 1936 when the same Republican Party was running against FDR and the great recovery that we had with the New Deal under FDR. And all the benefits that we still enjoy because we built things like dams and roads and bridges and put electricity into the Tennessee Valley and had works projects and art projects and every other thing. We still enjoy all those things. And people are going, I just don't know. I just don't know. How could you not know? I don't know how you could not know. Then on China, Romney, the man that actually invests in China, literally buys Chinese companies. Truly. Loves the cheap labor. Global Tech, there are other companies, obviously, that Bain has purchased on his behalf in the blind trust, which when he was debating Senator Kennedy in 1994, said a blind trust is not so blind. Romney said, you leave instructions with the manager of your blind trust, what you will and what you won't invest in, right? Romney's now saying, it's a blind trust, and what are you talking about? What about your pension? What about yours? By the way, the pension that Romney is talking about, the last contribution Obama made to the pension that Romney's talking about here was 1997. Yes, I'm serious. 1997. And that pension was when he was a state senator. And the pension plan, probably, according to some of the fact checks, invested in overseas and global funds. This is the pension that Romney is comparing to being CEO of Bain Capital and directing Bain Capital to buy things in China. It's the same in Romney's world. So put it this way. If I have a 401k, which I do, and it has a global fund, and I choose that global fund, it may invest in China. It may invest in Indian technology. It may invest in German manufacturing. If that's what, anyway, this is the same as me being a CEO of a company and saying, hey, let's raise $50 million and go buy Global Tech. It's a small appliance factory in China that uses pretty much slave labor. It's awesome. That's the same as, being in a 401k or a pension plan where the pension manager is charged with getting a good return for the fund. That's the same.
Any investments I have over the last 8 years have been managed by a blind trust. And I understand they do include investments outside the United States, including in Chinese companies. Mr. President, have you looked at your pension? Have you looked at your pension?
I've got to say.
Mr. President, have you looked at your pension?
I don't look at my pension. It's not as big as yours, so it doesn't take as long.
Let me give you some advice.
I don't check it that often.
Let me give you some advice. It's going to give the president financial advice about a pension that he hasn't participated in since 1997. It's the same as buying Chinese companies. What world does this man live in? And on China,
President Bush and I are different people.
Oh, I
and
love
these are
this.
different times.
Okay, this was about my favorite question. What is different? See, but I will say that the woman that asked this question was no more undecided than the guy who asked the question. Me and my buddies were sitting around talking about Benghazi over here. I mean, these were not undecided voters, okay? The woman who asked, what is the difference between you, Mr. Romney, and George W. Bush was not an undecided voter, okay?
President Bush and I are different people, and these are different times. And that's why my 5-point plan is so different than what he would have done.
Plan.
I mean, for instance, we can now, by virtue of new technology, actually get all the energy we need in North America without having to go to the Arabs or the Venezuelans or anyone else. That wasn't true in his time. That's why my policy starts with a very robust policy to get all that energy in North America and become energy secure. Number 2, trade. I'll crack down on China. President Bush didn't. I'm also going to dramatically expand trade in Latin America. It's been growing about 12% per year over a long period of time. I want to add more free trade agreements so we have more trade. Number 3, I'm going to get us to a balanced budget. President Bush didn't. President Obama was right. He said that was outrageous to have deficits as high as $500 billion under the Bush years. He was right. But then he put in place deficits twice that size for every one of his 4 years. And his forecast for the next 4 years is more deficits, almost that large. So that's the next area I'm different than President Bush.
Well, Obama just slammed him into the ground.
But when Governor Romney says that he has a very different economic plan, the centerpiece of his economic plan are tax cuts. That's what took us from surplus to deficit.
Yep.
When he talks about getting tough on China, keep in mind that Governor Romney invested in companies that were pioneers of outsourcing to China.
Yes.
And is currently investing in countries in companies that are building surveillance equipment for China to spy on its own folks.
That's nice.
Governor, you're the last person who's going to get tough on China. And what we've done when it comes to trade is not only sign 3 trade deals to open up new markets, but we've also set up a task force for trade that goes after anybody who is taking advantage of American workers or businesses and not creating a level playing field. We've brought twice as many cases against unfair trading practices than the previous administration, and we've won every single one that's been decided.
Yeah.
When I said that we had to make sure that China was not flooding our domestic market with cheap tires, Governor Romney said I was being protectionist.
It goes on. I mean, and then he says, oh, and by the way, yeah, you're not Bush. You're more extreme than Bush, especially on social issues. Bush never tried to defund Planned Parenthood. Bush never pushed for self-deportation. He tried to do comprehensive immigration reform. Now, the same people that were for comprehensive immigration reform are against comprehensive. It's crazy. Oh, my God. You got to admire Obama. I don't know how he stays presidential, except that he is. He's real. And by the way, you freaky people on the right that listen to conservative talk radio or do it, there was no teleprompter. 49 after.
Randy Rhodes.
Your personal hotline to the cold, hard truth. 866-87-RANDY. This is The Randy Rhodes Show.
You owe more than $10,000 in back taxes. Out of sight, out of mind, right? Yeah, sure. Right up to the moment they decide you've racked up enough in interest and penalties. Then come the letters, the threatening calls. They can even show up at your home or business unannounced. Tax collectors will ruin your life. Make the first move with Authority Tax Services, a team of attorneys and professionals with specialized experience. Authority knows how to give you the best advantage against the ruthless tactics of the IRS. They're accredited by the Better Business Bureau with a solid track record and can handle anything the tax man throws at you. Make the first move, and depending on your situation, you may be eligible for a payment plan you can actually live with or other special arrangement. You may even get up to 85% or more off your tax liability. Call Authority Tax Services now at 800-275-0865. Call for your free no-obligation consultation. 800-275-0865. 800-275-0865.
Whether you need to send a package, print documents, open a mailbox, move your home or office, or ship something big, the UPS Store has you covered. Take the worries out of shipping valuable items with the UPS Store Pack and Ship Guarantee. The UPS Store packing experts pack your gifts right and stand behind their service with a full guaranteed reimbursement if your goods are damaged or lost in transit. The UPS Store in the Northgate Shopping Center on Sherman Avenue or at Essex Square on Easttown Boulevard. The UPS Store. They've got you covered.
Senior guard Ryan Evans takes a lot of pride in wearing number 5.
I think about Bascom Hill, think about Ab Nicholas, my Uncle David, all the people that have come through here, Orlando Tucker, Michael Finley, all the greats that have come through here, not only from a basketball standpoint, but also from an academic standpoint. I am Ryan Evans, and I am ready for tip-off.
4 game ticket packages for Wisconsin basketball are on sale now. Get 4 great games for just $96. To order, call 1-800-GO-BADGERS or visit uwbadgers.com.
We will not be an easy target. We will never roll over and let pain plan our day, or let an ache tell us what we can and cannot do. We will not linger on the sofa, ask somebody else to bring us the mail, or take the parking space closest to the door. But what we will do is take action. We will plan ahead. We will protect our bodies and fight back by moving. Lace up our sneakers and grab our tennis rackets. We will bowl. We will do our morning laps and bike ride through Saturday afternoon. We will walk our dogs around the block. We will pass up the elevator and proudly take the stairs. Because arthritis can't beat us if we beat it first. In the fight against arthritis, you need a weapon. What's yours? To learn more, visit us at fightarthritispain.org. This message brought to you by the
Athletic Club and receive a gift card to the area's hottest restaurant, Buck and Honey's.
Rhodes on Premier Radio Networks.
That it wouldn't be helpful to American workers. Well, in fact, we saved 1,000 jobs. And that's the kind of tough trade actions that are required. But the last point I want to make is this. You know, there are some things where Governor Romney is different from George Bush. George Bush didn't propose turning Medicare into a voucher. George Bush embraced comprehensive immigration reform. He didn't call for self-deportation.
Really?
George Bush never suggested that we eliminate funding for Planned Parenthood. So there are differences between Governor Romney and George Bush, but they're not on economic policy. In some ways, he's gone to a more extreme place when it comes to social policy. And I think that's a mistake. That's not how we're going to move our economy forward.
Of course you get rid of Obamacare. That's the easy one. But there are others. Planned Parenthood, we're going to get rid of that.
Do you believe that states have that right or not?
George, I don't know whether the state has a right to ban contraception. No state wants to. I mean, the idea of you putting forward things that states might want to do that no state wants to do and asking me whether they could do it or not is kind of a silly thing, I think.
Governor, hold on a second. Governor, you went to Harvard Law School. You know very well
has the Supreme Court decided that the states do not have the right to provide contraception?
Yes, they have.
I believe
65, Griswold v. Connecticut.
I believe in that the law of the land is as spoken.
He got fact-checked by George Stephanopoulos. I love this. You know, I'm only playing this because in this little clip, you're going to hear Mitt Romney say he wants a constitutional amendment to ban gay marriage, and he thinks Roe v. Wade should be overturned. And, of course, at this point, he was against the Blunt Amendment. Then he went on a radio show, said he was for the Blunt Amendment, which is really ridiculous. And, of course, he's unaware of the law, Griswold v. Connecticut, that says that you cannot, keep a woman from getting contraceptive in this country. And he's unaware of any of this, okay?
By the Supreme Court, and that if we disagree with the Supreme Court, and occasionally I do, then we have a process under the Constitution to change that decision. And it's known as the amendment process. And where we have, for instance, right now, we're having issues that relate to same-sex marriage. My view is we should have a federal amendment of the Constitution defining marriage as a relationship between a man and a woman. But I know of no reason to talk about contraceptions.
But you accept the Supreme Court decision finding a right to privacy in the Constitution?
I don't believe they decided that correctly. In my view, Roe v. Wade was improperly decided. It was based upon that same principle. And in my view, if we had justices like Roberts, Alito, Thomas, and Scalia, and more justices like that, they might well decide to return this issue to states as opposed to saying it's in the federal Constitution. And by the way, if the people say it should be in the federal Constitution, then instead of having unelected judges stuff it in there when it's not there, we should allow the people to express their own views through amendment and add it to the Constitution. But this idea that justice...
So should that be done in this case?
Pardon?
Should that be done in this case?
Should this be done in this case to allow states to ban contraception? No. States don't want to ban contraception. So why would we try and put it in the Constitution? With regards to gay marriage, I've told you that's when I would amend the Constitution. Contraception, it's working just fine. Just leave it alone.
George, I understand that, but you've given two answers to the question. Do you believe that the Supreme Court should overturn it or not?
Do I believe the Supreme Court should overturn? Do I believe Supreme Court should overturn Roe v. Wade? Yes, I do.
Listen, I got to ask you here about the Washington Post has got a blog out here saying that Jim Heath, a reporter for a TV station in Ohio, just tweeted a remarkable piece of news. Mitt Romney told him he does not support the Blunt Amendment, which would empower employers and insurers to deny health coverage they find morally objectionable. Is what happened here?
I didn't understand his question. Of course I support the Blunt Amendment. I thought he was talking about some state law that prevented people from getting contraception. So I was simply misunderstood the question, and of course I support the Blunt Amendment.
He has got to be the dumbest lawyer who's ever graduated law school, let alone Harvard. Good luck, dude.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show on the Premier Radio Networks.
Here's great news and a free offer from the dermatologist who co-created Proactive.
Hi,